25. Book direct and save today at radsligo.com.
The Naughty Alarm Clock.
The Naughty Alarm Clock.
Highland Radio.
Gregory's in a funny mood this morning. You are funny today. We got the work cut out.
Overtired.
Overtired. It's all that baking you were doing last
Bad
night.
night's sleep.
Come here, that was a lovely wee picture of Hudson.
He
Yeah.
loves my scones.
I bet you. What? Say that again.
He
on.
loves my scones.
Oh,
That is best.
See now, I bet you had. Now Hudson, how long to take a wee picture?
No.
Now smile, and I'll give you a bar of chocolate afterwards.
No.
Go on ahead.
No.
Go on ahead.
Daddy, more scones. Daddy, your
no.
scones. Daddy's best.
Oh, Daddy. Is that what he says? Daddy's best. Oh, there you go.
Well, he helped me, like.
How would you do it once a week? Would you?
Just take a notion.
Take the
You know,
notion?
it's de-stressing, Lee. It's been
Yeah.
very busy the last week. There's been no time for anything, you know.
Yeah.
Because when you leave here after the show, there's a lot to do.
Well, you don't really kind of switch off, do you?
No, you can't.
You're always-
You're always interacting and doing stuff. So
Doing
it's
your
been
wee
busy.
things.
So it's, yesterday was kind of like a right.
How long does it
okay.
take you from start to finish to do it? And you have Hudson involved in it.
Scones?
Yeah.
20 minutes. Oh, you
bad.
mean actually cooked?
No, but
Half
no.
an hour.
No, but from start to finish.
Well,
half an hour.
from taking the
That's
mixer
good.
out of the drawer to eating them, half an hour.
Right.
If you want them warm with the butter
All right.
dribbling through
Yeah,
them.
like you took them in this morning.
You know, there's lots of people who have no idea what you're on about because it's just a picture posted on Facebook of scones I made.
Well, sure, there's a few hundred that's seen it. Right, come here, hold your tongue now a minute. How many did you make last night?
I made 8.
8.
8, yeah.
Would you not do 16?
Well, small batch, no, because 8 will end up in the bin. I'd far prefer to cook 8, them gone, and then have some.
Did you eat them all last night?
Yep, all gone.
How many did you have?
I had 2,
Right, Hudson.
but I didn't have dinner. Oh, we did have dinner. Stop it.
Oh, how's your tummy feeling this morning?
I made pasta for 4, and me and Aaron ate
So
it.
you had a big feed of
pasta
pasta.
for 4 for 2. Ooh, I am swollen today. I'm swollen.
Oh, a bit of watering, and you'll be well ballooned up.
Oh no, stop.
Come here, have a good show now.
Hey, Lee, you have a good, not
Aye.
a show,
Yeah.
because you're finished till tomorrow.
Well, I'm going upstairs to do a bit of work,
Of course you do. Yeah, you like me. You don't finish just when the show ends.
I know. Can we have a good show, right?
Take care, Lee.
Take care.
Thank you very much. It is 9 o'clock. Time for a news update. Good morning, Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The Oma bomb inquiry continues later. Today's session will hear about 2 toddlers who were killed in the blast, as well as a woman who was pregnant with twins. 29 people in total were killed in the real IRA attack in County Tyrone in August 1998. Paloma lost her sister, 23-year-old Rocio, who was staying in Donegal at the time on a language exchange trip. She's given her thoughts about being in Oma all these years on.
On the one hand, I'm very, very sad because I'm remembering my sister's death.
Y por otra, me he sentido como arropada.
But on the other hand, very much sheltered and protected because I am speaking not only on my own behalf, but on behalf of my whole family.
A Donegal County Council released a scheme to incentivise private landlords to rent to defective concrete block families needs to be established. Councillor Dennis McGee says a scheme similar to what was offered to property owners to house Ukrainian refugees should be set up in a bid to provide much needed accommodation on a temporary basis for families living in unsafe properties or whose homes are being remediated. He says it's imperative that tax-free incentives are available to assist in housing those experiencing the trauma of living in a defective block property. The council has agreed to write to the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage on the matter. Councillor McGee says accommodation for affected homeowners is limited.
As slow as it is, people will get their houses remediated, but they'll have nowhere to go. And if they have to go into mobile homes and the weather deteriorates and stuff like this here, it would be just great that they could incentivise private landlords to encourage these peoples to give these peoples homes that they could go into for a year or whatever the construction takes.
There's calls for ESB to meet with members of Donegal County Council to identify possible weaknesses in the county's electricity supply. At its peak during Storm Éowyn, 90% of properties in Donegal were without power. It could be later this week before supply is restored to all areas, with emergency crews, including some from abroad, working around the clock to repair the unprecedented damage caused to electricity infrastructure last week. Councillor Ciarán Brogan says lessons need to be learned from last week's events. He says part of that is working with ESB to ensure a more robust network in Donegal.
But I think it's important that we do have a debriefing with the ESB to talk about the I suppose the strengths and the weaknesses that we have, and if that can be identified, a lot of trees in different areas and stuff have come down, and I suppose it'll be as much of a learning curve for us as a council as well for the ESB, and I think it's important we continue to engage, and we have a team here in the council working closely with different agencies, but I think every day is a school day and where we can learn and from something like this going forward, and that's important we do it now soon.
Weather now. Any mist and fog will clear this morning. It will be largely dry with isolated showers and a mix of cloud and sunny spells. Highest temperatures of 6 to 9 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
Hello, class. Today at Burglar Boot Camp, we're going on a little field trip to jail. Now, Jim here made the silly mistake of trying to break into a phone watch alarmed house. There's always one. Jim?
It all happened so fast. They responded within 15 seconds. All I could grab was a fork. And sure, I can't sell that. I can't even dig through the wall with it.
Get the alarm Burglars Fear for just €49. Don't be alarmed. Be phone watched. Offer ends February 28th. Monitoring fees apply.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning to you. It is 4 minutes past 9, just soon to turn 5 minutes past 9 on this Wednesday, the 29th of January 2025. And we're right at the end of the month of January, and lots of memes on the internet I've noticed saying this is the longest month in the months of January, and it's been a really long one. I don't know if it's age related, but my word, it's flown for me. I can't believe we're heading into February soon. But anyway, here we are. We have a bank holiday, or a public holiday. I hate referencing them as bank holidays. Forget the banks. It's a public holiday on Monday, thanks to St. Bridget and all you ladies out there. So looking forward to that. A short week next week. For many of us, not for everyone, but for many of us. Hopefully all the power, all the water will be back on by then, so you can enjoy it. Big conversations in the national press today about the discrepancies between rural Ireland and urban Ireland and all that type of stuff. Anyway, if there's any news to bring you in relation to any of that, of course we'll do that over the next 3 hours. We're going to get an update actually on the 10T project. It was mentioned yesterday as part of an overall conversation with Tony and Claire from Letterkenny Chamber about infrastructural development, and someone was listening and said, well, the 10T is progressing, so we'll get an update on that for you a little later on to see if we can get any sort of firm dates and what have you. It's seen as vital and critical, of course, a piece of infrastructure for the Northwest. That and so much more besides, but we want you involved in the conversation. Many of you have been texting over the last couple of days, as you do every single day. There's still some comments coming in as it relates to tree management and the fallout for the storm and other stuff, so I'll get to some of those as the morning wears on. But the lines are open, obviously, for your comments today. What's on your mind? Maybe it's something we're going to be talking about. We want your views. 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps or text that number, and I can't impress enough that new people text every day, and we love that. If you've never texted a radio show before, this is your radio show in your region. Have your say. Your view is as important as anybody else's. Don't just think it. Get your phone out, send it in to us. We love all the messages. If calling is your thing, give us a call on 07491 25,000, or if you prefer to email, comments@highlandradio.com. And again, a shout out to those of you that listen to the podcast, or perhaps listening to us on the repeat overnight. You can email us at any time and we can pick them up and include them in the next live show. And the last bit of housework is to remind you that you can watch this show every day. We're the only show in the country doing it, for right or wrong, but you can watch this show every single day on your smart TV or your Fire Stick if you work from home or at home. We are available on the YouTube app there, Highland Radio Ireland. That could go in your pocket wherever you are, as can Facebook, Highland Radio News, Sport and Obituaries, Highland Hub. And we're on the X platform, where we get a big chunk of our viewership too on the X platform as well. Okay, let's have a look at the newspapers. The last wee while, we aren't receiving all of the newspapers. I don't know if it's down to delivery times or storms or whatever it might be. But anyway, I'll still pick out some stories for you. And I'll start local with the front page of the Finn Valley Voice. And in the worst tragedy of Storm Éowyn in Ireland, a young man lost his life in a road collision near Raphoe. Kasper Dudek, 20, of Beechwood Park in Lifford, and originally from Brody in Poland, was returning home from work when a tree fell on his vehicle during storm force winds at Fettiglass just before 5:30 a.m. on Friday. Kasper's funeral is set to take place tomorrow, Thursday, January 30th. An incredibly sad loss of life, a young man with his entire life in front of him, and just thinking on his family and friends, and maybe those who received the news in Poland, some of his extended family, that it's just the worst type of news that you can receive. Thinking on all of them and wishing them all the strength that they need and more to get through these difficult couple of days and the weeks and months and years that follow. On to the Irish Times now, and the Super Juniors and the Juniors and all those positions are going to be announced today, we're told. But Super Junior cabinet status is facing a court challenge. A Sinn Féin TD has launched High Court proceedings alleging the attendance of Super Junior ministers at cabinet meetings is unconstitutional. Patrick Daly moved an initial application yesterday seeking a very urgent hearing of an application for permission to pursue his claims in court. Miss Justice Mary Rose Gertie allowed him to file his legal papers with the High Court and said she will hear the leave application today. Fakin McDonough, senior counsel for Mr Daly, told the court the case relates to the government's recent appointment of 3 ministers of state with rights to cabinet. He said the non-government Super Juniors cannot vote at cabinet but have all other rights. The recently appointed Super Juniors are Fine Gael's Hildegard Naughton and regional independent group members Sean Kenny and Noel Grealish. We'll be speaking to Sinn Féin a little bit later on to sort of find out why they believe it is unconstitutional and what they hope to achieve through that court case. An article in... Actually, sorry, just to make sure I've read all the stories from that particular paper, there was another article I wished to read, and that was in relation to... It's another bike shed, is it? Or it sounds like it. It's another bike shed. It is another hut. An Office of Public Works project to replace an unsafe 70-metre perimeter wall around a Workplace Relations Commission office in Dublin ended up costing, wait for it, almost €500,000, €490,000. The works at the Commission's Ballsbridge headquarters were originally expected to cost €200,000, excluding VAT, so it's beginning to sound familiar, isn't it? However, records show a live electricity cable and a leaking pipe were discovered during preliminary works. The extra work to do with the cable uncovered ended up adding some €250,000 to the bill. Would that not be a live wire being exposed like that? Is that the building owner that's responsible for that, or would the ESB have a role in that? I don't see that question asked or answered. Well, the OPW acknowledged there were very significant delays as well as increased costs on the job at Lansdowne House. Among them were payments of $54,000 to the ESB. So the ESB were on site. My apologies. They had to redirect the wire and had to be paid for that. $61,000 to Dublin City Council in order to close off footpaths and public parking. A further €82,000 was spent on ancillary costs, according to a detailed breakdown of spending provided by the OPW under the Freedom of Information Act. But anyway, be that as it may, this 70-metre perimeter wall cost to replace €500,000, bar €10,000 in change there. Interesting insight into attitudes of rape and whether or not people believe accusations are made up. It's in the Irish Independent today. It's a tiny wee piece on page 16, but I thought it quite significant because there's been an awful lot of talk about, public attitudes and how they may be changing. 1 in 4 men, that's 25% of us, are not sure sex without consent is as widespread a problem as it's made out to be, according to new research from the Dublin Rape Crisis Centre. And 46% agree people often make up accusations about non-consensual sex. So almost half of people are of the view that people often make up accusations about non-consensual sex. This compares, that's men actually, this compares to 14% of women who are unsure it is widespread a problem as it is made out to be. and 27% of women who believe people often make up accusations. More than half of dating adults said they were fearful that a partner might say the sexual encounter that occurred when they were drinking was not consensual, despite going along with it at the time. The national research on the public's attitude to sexual consent was carried out by the Dublin Rape Crisis Centre as part of the We Consent campaign, which we've talked about with them on this show previously. Hope has been expressed that the Omagh bombing inquiry will be the beginning of the end for the bereaved in their pursuit of answers. Michael Gallagher, whose son Aidan was killed in the 1998 dissident Republican bomb attack in the Tyrone town, also pressed the British and Irish governments to fully cooperate with the inquiry. Any of you who've listened to this programme in all its forms over the last many years would be very familiar with Michael Gallagher's voice. He's been a tireless campaigner for his son and for others murdered and injured in this bombing. The inquiry is going to examine whether the atrocity could have been prevented. It started 4 weeks of commemorative hearings yesterday, remembering the victims and hearing from those who were injured or directly affected. Mr. Gallagher campaigned for many years for an inquiry and took the legal action which resulted in a judge in 2021 finding it was plausible there was a real prospect the bombing could have been prevented by the security services, and calling for new investigations on both sides of the Irish border. You would have heard Michaela talking about that on the news this morning, and of course we'll continue to cover that here on Highland Radio as it continues. On to some of your comments now, and the conversation has been ongoing but continued yesterday as to whether or not the Dáil should have been recalled. There's been lots of visits now all of a sudden to more rural parts of Ireland affected by Storm Éowyn. Many people say that's great. Others believe it's too little too late. But a caller says people do need reassurance in these times. The government is a joke. They say kindness costs nothing but means a lot. Another morning, Greg, of course the Dáil should be up and running when half the country has no water, electricity, heat, internet, etc. Can you think of another European nation's government that would not be doing something in a case like this? The one thing that would be different, actually, and you can look to natural disasters in the last year or two in America, in certain states in America, I think Brazil and I think France too, where there was a national outcry, a media outcry. The media sort of represented what a lot of the public were thinking in that, hold on you a second, there's something very significant has happened here. We need the state, the houses of the Oireachtas or the Parliament, whatever it might be, to sit at this time. And it's often the media that whips that up, right? Be it CNN or Fox in America, depending whether it's red or blue in power there, in France or whatever, or in Britain. But here, it was not made a thing. So I don't know if that's a relationship that the national media has with government, or maybe they don't believe it's a story. But it's just something I did notice. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it would have been front page news stories in any other country or in any state in America, I think, if you had a major national disaster and the government didn't sit in an emergency meeting or what have you. That being said, the government states that they have been working flat out in the cabinet's meeting today and so on and so forth. So there are two sides to every story. Your opinion really decides which is the most popular. Greg, can you ask if anyone knows if attic insulation can rot if it gets wet? I lost tiles off my roof on Friday. I noticed water damage on the ceiling in the bedroom downstairs below where the tiles were lost, but there's no fiberglass insulation in there, so it must be soaked through. Will I have to replace the insulation or can I leave it to dry out? Now, first and foremost, are you making a claim on your house insurance for that? Because if you are, I'd get everything changed at that time. But throwing out there to the very experienced men and women in this industry, if your insulation in the attic has become wet, can it dry out or will it rot? Would it need to be changed? Let us know, please, if you can help with that. 086 60 25,000. Greg, all underfloor heating, air to water, no open fire. We need to plan to build a better house. But the conversation doesn't seem to be about that. The conversation is about building, seemingly, I'm not making the conversation, about a more resilient infrastructure rather than sort of undoing how we build houses for right or wrong. It's ridiculous that power lines are not underground adjacent to roads, not strung up on poles and pylons across bogs Sitka spruce plantations and mountains. It's 19th century technology and it's not fit for purpose. Lots and lots of you agree about that. Hello, Greg. When will Ireland catch up with Northern Ireland in regard to underground cables for electric? We're fortunate to live beside Strabane to get food in takeaways and use Wi-Fi, etc. But yesterday there was over 70,000 people across Northern Ireland without electricity. So, if you're accessing Strabane, maybe that's the more urban, well-resourced area, and you go further into the country, in inverted commas, and they're experiencing the same things we are here. All right, loads more coming up in relation to that, more of your comments, but we're going to take a break, and our first guest joins us on the show thereafter.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
It's the Right Price Tiles wood flooring and bathware half price sale. Get up to 50% off all tiles, wood flooring, bathware, cladding, everything's reduced. Tiles from only $4.99 per square yard and wood flooring from only $9.99 per square yard. Right Price Tiles wood flooring and bathware half price sale extended until Bank Holiday Monday.
Do you need a little extra help staying in your home? At Bluebird Care, we offer a wide variety of QMark approved personalised home care services across Donegal. And our fully trained and committed staff will always meet your care needs with kindness, compassion and dignity. To get your personal home care assessment plan, visit bluebirdcare.ie or call our care team today on 07491 29562 and bring care home.
Are you thinking of a new car in January? At iMotors, we have certain Nissan models available for immediate delivery. E-Power, petrol, hybrid are all still available. Check out imotors.ie.
iMotors, fearless generation.
A public interest message from Donegal County Council. New regulations are now in place in relation to XL bully type dogs, prohibiting the importing, breeding, selling and rehoming of XL bully type dogs after the 1st of February 2025. Anyone who currently owns an XL bully type dog has two choices. Surrender the dog to your local authority dog warden service, where the dog will be euthanised in a humane manner. Or apply for a certificate of exemption before the 1st of February 2025, which will allow you to keep the dog until the end of its natural life. Application forms and further information are available at donegalcoco.ie/vet service. Donegal County Council, protecting public safety.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is
9:20. Now, Anya McHugh is Donegal County Council's project manager for the 10T project and senior executive engineer. Good morning to you, Anya. Thank you so much for your time today.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing great. So great also to get an update on the 10T project. But can I go back to the start? What is the 10T project?
Sure. I suppose the 10T project initiated through the 10T regulations itself, and it's a Europe-wide transport network. So not just in an Ireland sense, it's also throughout Europe. And that seeks, it's a 10T regulation that seeks to upgrade the 10T network to a certain standard by 2050. So our 10T network in Donegal starts in Bridgend and extends to Bundoran, as well as the N14 between Manor Cunningham and Lifford. Now, when we started this project, obviously we'd like to do the full network in Donegal if we could, but we realised that wasn't going to be feasible. So we prioritised the three most critical sections in need for improvement. And those three sections are the Ballybofey-Stranraer bypass. Section 2 is the N56, N13 Letterkenny to Manor Cunningham, and that includes the new bridge across the Swilly. And the third section is the N14 Manor Cunningham to Lifford, which connects into the proposed A5 Western Transport Corridor.
So part of it is this Bonagee Bridge that everybody talks about, that would be the silver bullet to fix Letterkenny's problems?
Yes, so the bridge across the Swilly is in Section 2, and you know there are many components to Section 2, but that's certainly a part of it. Yeah.
So all projects are planned to advance together. Does that mean they all commence and conclude around about the same time, or are you including sort of planning and all the other processes when we talk about them advancing together?
Yeah, so where we are at the next stage of the project will be that all sections will go together through the plan and consent process. So we had just got approval from Cabinet for the project last year. Without that, we wouldn't be able to apply for development consent. So all three will be going together for that development consent. And I suppose subject to that development consent then will depend on how long and obviously funding as well as a key component of that. How quickly they would advance then through the construction stage. Funding would be a key aspect of that because obviously you need the full funds to deliver it all in one go. So that's, but as far as we're concerned, we are taking everything together through this development consent process.
But obviously there are stages to have been gone through. At this point, we haven't official funding for these three sections at this time in terms of completion. They're not funded as part of any national roads plan at this time.
Well, that would be the case for any capital infrastructure that would be going through. The way I look at it is if you imagine when you're planning for your own house and you're looking for a mortgage from the bank, you wouldn't be able to go looking for your mortgage until you have your planning permission in place. And this is effectively where any type of capital project sits. So until we have our development consent in place, we wouldn't be able to apply for the funds for the construction stage.
Now, there are a lot of stages to have been gone through. So what is the next stage, Anya? I know you kind of mentioned it, but I just want to go through them to give people an idea.
Yeah, so we're just coming to the end of what we call phase 3, which is the design and environmental assessment stage. And that the next stage then is what's called the phase 4, the statutory process. And with that comes the publication of the environmental impact assessment report and the compulsory purchase order documents. And that effectively initiates the plan and consent process. And at that time, members of the public and impacted landowners and so on will have the opportunity to make a submission to Bord Pleanála on any observations they have on the project. Usually then what we would expect after that is that the board would convene an oral hearing for this type of project, and the hearing itself is held in a public venue selected by the board. And at that point, members of the public can make submissions to the board in the terms of their views of the project, but also the board will also examine the project and the specifics in much greater detail.
How can that complicate a project? Like, say, for instance, there is a landowner whose property is being split in two, and they make an oral representation to Bord Pleanála, and Bord Pleanála say, well, listen, maybe there is an option to go round this property. I'm just throwing out an example here on you. Is that the type of thing that may happen, and could that scenario push the whole process?
I suppose the board's jurisdiction is to look at the lands within the CPO.
Okay.
So they don't have the jurisdiction to move left or right of the CPO. They only have the power to approve, reject, or modify. And what I say by modify is to remove a number of plots or whatever from the CPO. They can't relocate a certain location.
Yeah. So anyone at the moment who is likely to be subject to a CPO, are they aware of that?
Yes, we've been working very hard. We have a dedicated land liaison team. Brian Reid in our office is the lead land liaison manager, and we've been working very closely with landowners as they've been affected by the project right through from early stages of the process. And we want to continue that engagement right through, and I would certainly encourage anybody that has any further questions on the 10T project, or feel that maybe they have been impacted and maybe not contacted. Obviously, there's a very slim chance of that happening, but we believe we've made every effort as much as we possibly can. There's a huge number of people impacted by the project, so I'd certainly encourage everybody to make contact with our land liaison team. and we'll deal with any queries that they have.
Yeah,
on
so
the process
obviously
or the project.
you're across this and you understand how this works. So pardon if excuse me if my questions are blunt, and you can just bat them away if it would complicate the process. But is it determinable how over the line you might be in terms of the CPO process? I.e., having discussed and liaised and conversed with those that this affects, can you express any confidence that you think you're maybe 95% there or 50% there, or in terms of having the landowners on board with the process?
I think that's probably a very impossible question to answer at this stage, but certainly we've done our absolute best. But it's a very complex process. The planning process is known to be a very challenging process. Not just, obviously there's the landowner impacts, there's also the environmental impacts, and it's very much at the discretion of the board to make that decision through the engagement with the oral hearing process and the submissions and feedback that they receive from members of the public, but also other statutory bodies and so on. So I really wouldn't want to give any indication either way.
Okay, so the CPOs are due to be issued in the middle of this year. When would you anticipate that we might start seeing oral hearings?
Oh, that's another good question. Obviously, there have been some delays with An Bord Pleanála internally, and it had been seen as a sort of a bottleneck in terms of how these major infrastructure projects were being advanced. But I think there has definitely been some positive developments in terms of internal recruitments, and there's certainly a very strong intent to speed up those processes for major infrastructure projects such as this. So it's difficult to say. It could be a year, but it's a hard one to call at this point. So,
but theoretically, it could be pushed into 2027, hopefully 2026, but it could be pushed into 2027. So then it's to design. Then it's on to the next stage. So what is the next stage after we've overcome the oral hearings hurdle, if indeed that turns out to be the case? This is presuming that there's not as many headwinds as often can be the case.
Yeah, so the next stage for ourselves then would be to advance the detailed design and the tender documents, as well as looking about the construction tendering process itself for the main contract. But also working with landowners in an actual acquisition of the lands itself.
So how long might that take? So I'm just trying to get in some sense of, so if you don't mind working with my timeline, Anya, and I'm not asking you that you agree, right, but let's just say it was 2027 and we moved to design and project build. When could we optimistically hope that work would actually begin on any of these three sections?
Yeah, so I suppose what we're looking at in timelines is we would probably expect a decision, or the hearing itself would likely be in 26, and then over those number of years, the tendering process, the detailed design, etc., would happen, and you're probably looking at the earliest 2028, more likely 2029. Subject to receiving the development consent and coming out of it.
And funding.
There's a challenge.
Yeah, and funding.
And funding.
Okay. So we're heading towards
absolutely.
the end of the decade. So just with that in mind, obviously, say, for instance, there's very pressing, and it depends where you live, everywhere is pressing, right? But in terms of Letterkenny, a lot of people would say, look, we just need this relief, we need the Bonagee link. Would that not be, why can't we decouple that and progress that as quickly as is possible, rather than having it as part of the overall 10T project, which, listen, we can't rule out may not even start until the next decade?
I suppose it's important to say that even if you decouple that, as you suggest, it doesn't speed up the process at all. It still takes the exact same length of time to do that smaller section as it would do for the entire section, because obviously we have a very large team that works on all three sections together. But the environmental assessments are a key component of that. They have to be carried out over a number of seasons. So, time-wise, it doesn't actually save you anything in that respect. And the other thing is very, very important for us is that we consider the project in its entirety, and it has to consider the cumulative effects of all of the environmental components of the project. So if we split that down, it leaves the Bonagee link open to challenge because we haven't carried out the assessments in its full broad picture and captured the full environmental impact of the project by splitting it into smaller sections. So from a development consent process, it's really vital that it's all kept together as the one overall project.
Just had some inquiries from people that have received letters that are going to get CPOs middle of this year. When time-wise, what does that, in terms of them that being financially settled with them? Presumably that's tied into the process, right? So probably looking towards very close to construction before they would be compensated?
Well, I suppose the priority.
I think some letters actually reference 2029 is when they might be when they might receive money.
It really depends, but I think the first priority would be property owners, those that are living in their home, that will be have to be acquired for the project. They will certainly need a good lead-in time to be able to make alternative arrangements, and it's actually something that we'd be looking to do maybe slightly ahead of the CPO process. Again, Brian has been working closely with TIA to try and have a sort of an early engagement process with landowners in that respect, and to give them, I suppose, that little bit of certainty as we approach the CPO process. But again, then in terms of all affected property and landowners in the project, there will be a dedicated team again for that to try and move that on as efficiently as possible. Not everybody may know everything by the time a digger hits the ground, but the CPO process certainly allows for that in terms of the interest that would be applied then post entry if that was the case.
And then I suppose the big question is and maybe this is crystal ball stuff, when might all three sections, how long might it take from, the first digger bucket going in to some minister coming up and cutting a tape? How long might that process take?
Again, it's very much down to the funding provision for the project. If we get all, get adequate funding levels for all three to be able to advance together, you're probably talking a reasonable construction period would be 5 years. But obviously, if funding isn't as sufficient for all three sections, there would be a phased delivery on that, and that's the call. That's really impossible at the moment.
And just from a county council perspective, is there what is the priority here? 1, 2, 3. What is there an order here? So if they said, "Look, we have funding," you can advance one section or another section or what have you. Like, are these, from a council perspective, prioritised?
No, not yet. No, again, because everything is going together as the one project through the planning consent process, it's after that process that a decision, if it has to be made, will be made then. And again, it will be obviously through the Department of Transport and probably even government level that those discussions would have to take place, and obviously TIA would have to be very much involved in those discussions also. But the minute there's no different priority, every section has their own merits and benefits.
Of course, yeah.
Delivers on different aspects, and all three sections are needed. Obviously, there's different positives for each of them, but as it stands, we would prefer to keep all three together and move it together as much as possible as the one core project.
And very finally, all of our conversation up until now has been within the current frameworks that you have to operate within. Is there anything that could be done at a cabinet level, theoretically, Anya, that could speed this process up? Or as it stands, this is the planning, the CPO, the planning, all that kind of, like, is there anything that can be done that something could be signed that could speed this whole process up in your view?
Well, I think, I suppose, obviously, Cabinet can't intervene with the development consent process. That's very much an independent and has to be kept separate to that. But I do feel there is a very strong intent from government. The programme for government that's just been approved, it actually states this government will further enhance road connectivity to and from the Northwest. So you can really see that we've been given, a well-deserved focus for the Northwest in terms of our connectivity. If you look at the map of Ireland, you can see that huge void through the Northwest. We certainly need that investment, and I think it's very positive that they've given us this recognition. And indeed, in previous, the National Planning Framework and the policy documents are equally strong for the Northwest. So,
yeah, but the concern with the concern with the last government, there was a ratio of spend on different types of infrastructure. Green travel versus roads, and you would need a certain amount spent on public transport before we arguably could see money spent on the infrastructure, the roads infrastructure. So maybe it's a slightly improved situation. Anya, thanks for your time. I do appreciate that. That's pretty clear. We know we're across it now. We do appreciate your time, Anya.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. Anya McHugh, Donegal County Council's Project Manager for 10T Project and Senior Executive Engineer. So there it is. Not from what I took from that is, it's simply best case scenario, and maybe with a great tailwind, who's to say, but you could be looking at 2035 really. What do you think about that? 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and text number, 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 07491 25,000. That's certainly the clearest timelining of the whole project that I've heard recently with up-to-date information. So very interested to hear what you think about that, but it is what it is, I suppose. I'm living in Pettigo area. I have no electricity, phone or internet. I was just wondering when the phone signal will be back in the Pettigo area. Does anyone know? Dolores is also in the south of the county. It's great to have you listening, guys. Can you find out when lights will be back on around Lahi Bar Road area, please? It's very difficult for us to get specific information in areas like these, and I really do feel bad about that. It's very hard to such is the scale of the problem, not just locally but around the country, that it's very hard to get that sort of very specific local information. So unfortunately I don't have that for you, but it doesn't mean we won't endeavour to find it out. We just have these relatively generic restoration times on the PowerCheck website. Greg, there's a planning notice to build 21 houses beside me in the mountaintop Balhadurg area. How do I go about making an objection to stop them being built? I seem to be going around in circles in the council's website. Can you put it out there to see if there's a simple way to do it? Thanks, Greg. Ring the council. That's what they're there for, to advise you. But certainly, if anyone has any information in relation to that, let me know. It's not something I've ever done. Greg, re the N14 Lifford to Letterkenny Road closed its last Friday, re the tragedy, but they could left that road project when they were working at it earlier in the year. Now everyone has the extra expense of a detour. A listener says we already had all these talks on the 10T. They said all the money was there, and that was 5 years ago. That's why I wanted to sort of go slowly with Anya there and break it down, because when they announce money, it could be for the initial phase of the project, and then you get an announcement of more money for the second phase. And now we're talking about the third phase. I think it was the third phase, heading into the fourth phase. So it's funded as you go. But what you would have heard is a commitment to fund the project. That being said, I remember him interviewing Eamon Ryan on this programme at the time, and he couldn't say whether it would be included in, my God, it was so long ago. Was that the 2020 funding? God, that's scary. Right, okay, back with more after the break.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Enjoy real savings this week at SuperValu, like SuperValu Signature Tastes Fresh Irish Hampshire Pork Loin Chops, now half price. SuperValu Fresh Irish Beef Ribeye Steak, now save 33%. Scan your card or app and get selected Nature Value 20 bar packs, now better than half price. And Lions Tea Original Blend 210 pack, now €6. Make real savings every week at SuperValu.
All I want is my favorite bowl, Flavin's porridge to warm the soul. Such a creamy spoonful, oh, wouldn't it be lovely? Creamy porridge is what I'd like. That and a baby that sleeps at night. Oh, wouldn't it be lovely? Lovely, doubly, lovely. Only Flavin's double bake their oats for creamier porridge.
Ready to transform your smile? Discover the magic of Blue Poppy Dental in Letterkenny and Donegal Town. With implantologists, surgical and cosmetic dentists, orthodontists and an endodontist all under one roof, we've got all your dental needs covered. Starting your journey is easy. Call us on 074 91 20355 or book your appointment online anytime through our user-friendly patient portal at bluepoppydental.com. Blue Poppy Dental and Orthodontics, where smiles shine brighter.
That's the sound of someone sleeping soundly on a Restex mattress. Choose from the Donegal range. A Teelan, a Kinnigo, or a Mulroy mattress. It'll change the way you sleep forever. Restex Beds Mountaintop Letterkenny. Leave the rest to us.
Watson Menswear's big January sale is now on in-store and online, with great discounts across top names in menswear like Andre, Tom Penn and Rima Zumo. Also big savings on Superdry, Penguin and Tommy Bow footwear. Don't miss out on some great bargains in the January sale, now on at Watson Menswear, Main Street, Letterkenny, and online at watsonmenswear.com. Grab a menswear bargain this January at Watson Menswear.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Joe Gallagher Entertainments presents Europe's #1 tribute to Johnny Cash. Clive John brings the Johnny Cash Roadshow with special guest Trevor Smith and his tribute to Garth Brooks to the Mount Errigal Hotel, Letterkenny on Saturday the 22nd of March. A fast-paced, energetic two-band show playing all the hits of the legend that was Johnny Cash and Garth Brooks on one stage. Tickets on sale now from hotel reception and ticketmaster.ie.
I've just had the Eclipse Cinemas experience. Wow, they truly have taken a night at the movies to a whole new level. Amazing recliner chairs, director's lounge VIP rooms, pizza and hot food served to your seat. Have a glass of wine and enjoy the film on the big screen. Try it for yourself at Eclipse Cinemas Bundoran and Lifford Strabane, where the stars shine brighter. By the way, the pizzas are amazing. You can book your seat anytime at eclipsecinemas.ie.
Need rapid care for a minor injury or fracture? Why wait when you can be seen today at Kingsbridge Northwest Minor Injuries and Fracture Clinic? See a GP with A&E experience and avail of further scans and surgery with highly trained nurses, radiologists and orthopaedic surgeons on site. Available Monday through to Saturday in Ballykelly for Leia insured and self-paying patients. Visit kingsbridgegpclinic.com today for further information.
The Volkswagen Caddy Cargo. Dependable, resilient and versatile. The perfect choice for your business. Now with 0% finance, service plans from €12.99 per month and pricing starting from only €21,600 ex-VAT. There's never been a better time to upgrade your business. With stock available now at Volkswagen commercial vehicle retailers across Ireland for January delivery, order your 251 Volkswagen Caddy Cargo today. Terms and conditions apply. Finance provided by way of hire purchase agreement from Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland and subject to lending criteria. Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Visit volkswagenvans.ie for further information.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenny's. Join us on March 8th for our special occasion preview with the sparkling afternoon tea in Harvey's Point. Tickets go on sale Friday 31st of January at 7 p.m. Available from mcelhennys.com.
So it's going to be a largely dry day today with just isolated showers and a mix of cloud and sunny spells. Scattered showers will develop during the evening. Temperatures today 6 to 9 degrees with light to moderate northerly winds. Amy Nolan is Director of Clinical Affairs with the Irish Cancer Society and is with me on the programme now. Good morning, Amy.
Good morning, Greg.
Right, now you are making a call on the government to do more over the next 5 years as almost 250,000 of us are going to receive a cancer diagnosis over this time. So what more could be done and what specifically are you calling for?
You're absolutely right, Greg. 1 in 2 of us will be diagnosed with cancer in our lifetimes, and we know that 44,000 people are diagnosed with cancer every year in Ireland. So this is an issue that is going to affect all of us. And we know from some of our research and the real cost of cancer, we initially did that research in 2019 and updated it again in 2022. And it states that most households will be down €1,500 per month. And that adds up to €18,000 per year in a household. So that is really difficult and very stressful for patients while they're trying to deal with the cancer diagnosis and the psychological and emotional impact of that. They also have this huge financial burden as well, because the mortgage still has to be paid, rent still has to be paid, electricity, all of those other costs. And now they are taking on the additional burden of other costs like medicines, car parking charges. So the Irish Cancer Society is calling. We have it's a really good time now. We have a new government in place. We have a new health minister in place, and we really want the new government to listen to the Irish Cancer Society and do a number of things for cancer patients. One being to abolish car parking charges in public hospitals for cancer patients, to provide medical cards that last the duration of treatment time for patients, and to reduce the drugs payment scheme threshold to at least €72 a month. And that was outlined, Greg, in the 2017 Launch a Care report. So a lot of this is not new information, but it is something that the Irish Cancer Society has been advocating for cancer patients across Ireland over many years now.
Yeah, and I suppose really it's to build on progress, because, you know, we are improving our screening. We're getting more people detected earlier. You know, obviously
Yes.
treatments are improving all of the while. Some massive strides made over the last number of decades. And as a result, you know, more people are surviving cancer, and significantly more people than, say, for instance, someone who was diagnosed with cancer in the 1990s, as an example.
Absolutely.
So there's an awful lot of positives there, and an awful lot to build on. And I think a lot of what you're proposing here today is common sense, but I suppose it comes down to cost. Is it going to be incredibly expensive? Because clearly, if there's a will, there is a way, but often it comes down to money, remarkably.
Yes, I think, for example, the medical cards, if you say that is for the duration of treatment for a cancer patient, then that is something that is really achievable.
Would that be means tested at all?
It's at the moment.
No, would it
unless,
be, under your
sorry.
proposals, would it be means tested at all, or?
No, we would see that all cancer patients that are going through treatment for the duration of their treatment, that they would receive a medical card. And you see the cost of these drugs, they're very expensive drugs. Some of them can, be returned through the drugs payment scheme. But even for patients, the other areas of expense can be when they're sitting in a day ward. So a patient will go to get their treatment. They have to get a needle into their arm. They are waiting for their treatment to arrive. They're waiting for their blood results to come back. They're waiting to know if it's okay to proceed with their treatment. They're waiting for a chair in a day ward to receive the treatment. They receive the treatment, and then eventually they get the opportunity to go home. But all that time is a lot of time spent. So you find that patients tend to go for a cup of coffee, get a sandwich. If you are parents of a child with cancer, those parents have to travel to CHI in Crumlin to receive treatment. So then you have additional expense of overnight stays. Many patients in Donegal and Letterkenny have to travel for their treatment as well. Sometimes that's across to Derry, or sometimes to Galway or to Dublin for radiotherapy specifically. So all of those elements add a huge amount of expense to patients. And you're right, Greg. The good news is, and let's be clear here, there is very good news. 60 years ago, 3 out of 10 people survived cancer, and we now know that 6 out of 10 people will survive cancer, which is fantastic. And there's been great strides made in the science of some of these treatments, which means people are living longer, but on treatment longer sometimes as well.
Just staying with the treatment before I move on to the next question. There are advances in cancer treatments taking place all of the time. What do we need to look at the ease of access to those new treatments? What would that take? Are we talking about, treatments that have gone through sort of the testing process and are available, even though perhaps at a high cost? Or are we talking getting on explain that to me. What needs to improve there?
Yeah, there is a very clear process in how drugs go through a process with the national committees. So with the NCPE, and then they have to go through a health technology assessment. So it is quite complex. But what the Irish Cancer Society is calling on there is more transparency around the process. So with the drug companies, all of these drugs will have gone through cancer clinical trials. They will have to be proven to say that they're effective in specific types of cancer as well. So what is proven to be successful in maybe a lung cancer treatment, may not work in somebody who has pancreatic cancer. So it has to be specific to the types of cancer. But more transparency around that process is what we are calling for. And
to what end is that? To ensure that we know exactly if there is a hold-up, what the hold-up is. Is it the
exactly
process,
that.
or is it a financial issue that we really should know about? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, so there is a 2-year process now, Greg, for most drugs to get approved, which is a really long time when you're a patient, maybe with stage 4
Well,
cancer,
you may
who
not
wants
have that
access
time.
to the drug.
Yeah,
Exactly
very
that.
tragically.
And so it's more transparency around the process. What are the blocks? And also the cost. So that does have to be considered. The cost of these drugs, they are very expensive. And there are some elements of negotiation that has to occur between some of the pharma companies as well. So all of that process is what we're calling on further transparency of.
Okay, like now, say from a position of ignorance, if we talk about expanding bowel screen and breast check programs, that seems to be a non-brainer because that means we catch more people at an earlier stage. Reinstating the Laura Brennan catch-up program, which expired in January 24, many people may not be aware of that. But then that leads on to, I think, protecting diagnostic pathways and investing in infrastructure and equipment to meet target treatment times, which is already contained in the National Cancer Strategy. So this kind of feels like non-brainer stuff. Let's catch more people earlier with cancer, and then let's make sure we have the pathways and the equipment and the people in place to give them the best outcomes. Let's push for 7, 8 out of 10. I mean, obviously the goal's 10 out of 10. But is it a case that we don't want to extend programs because we don't want to have a blockage when it comes to diagnostic pathways and treatments and so on?
So some of it is about capacity at the other side. That if you have these extension to bowel screening program, which is what we're calling for now to extend the age range, and you also have to make sure that the age range that you're likely to pick up. So you don't want to be screening people too young either, that there's an issue with maybe a false positive result and the anxiety that causes. So it's really looking at the evidence base, which says that you need to, screen at this age to this age. So it is bowel screen is something that we are advocating to reduce the age range on that. What you have to make sure is that we have capacity then within the service to do those scopes. So that's the camera. If you have a check and you're brought back, that the camera test up the back passage to check if there's any cancer is there.
I find it very hard to square the circle in my head if it is the case that we aren't doing more bowel screening because we don't have the cameras to go up people's bums to if they need a follow check. That sounds to me like people could be lost in that.
Once there is a positive test result in bowel screen, you will be screened. But I think
we need
what they have
we need
to
to get the positive test results with the bowel with the stool screening initially. Though.
Exactly, that has to happen, and then you will be allocated a slot to have the scope done.
But I would hope we aren't. I would hope that the reason we're not expanding bowel screening, for an example, is because we don't have the resources to actually. To further analysis of problematic results.
But that is something that has to be considered. So your workforce planning, if you're increasing the numbers of people, then you have to increase the numbers of people that have the expertise to do the scoping and provide the results, and then follow on with the surgery or the treatment as needed, if needed.
All right, there's an awful lot more in there that we didn't get to. The financial element of it, the parking, all of that stuff you mentioned, a lot of it seems common sense. There are things that some hospitals are doing in that regard, but it has to be universal, that everyone has the same sort of access, I'd imagine. And there's much more, of course, on the Irish Cancer Society's socials and webpage, and you'll hear more on the radio and in the papers. But for now, Amy Nolan, Director of Clinical Affairs with the Irish Cancer Society, thank you so very much for your time.
Thank you, Greg.
All right, take care of yourself. We'll be back with more on the 9 till noon show after the news and obituary notices.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Winter sale now on at Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, Donegal Town. Amazing prices on made-to-order kitchens, sliding wardrobes and much more. Don't miss your chance to transform your home at unbeatable prices. Book your appointment today at cherrymore.ie or call 07497 25822. Cherrymore, 28 years of adding quality and value to your home.
PDO thread lifts and skin boosters, which rejuvenate the skin by improving facial contours, lifting and tightening the jowls, neck, cheeks and eyebrows, are available at Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. To choose the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. Also offering fat dissolving treatments, dermal fillers and laser treatments for all skin conditions. Hair and makeup packages also available. Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. 07495 325 75.
Imagine a wedding venue that can be hired exclusively for you and your guests. Picture stunning views overlooking one of Donegal's most scenic beaches, an authentic country manor as your accommodation, incredible glass-fronted marquee views all day, and a team of experts who want to help you plan every step of the way. Sounds too good to be true? Not at Drumhalla House in Rathmullen. It really has to be seen to be believed. Visit drumhallahouse.ie or check out Drumhalla House on Instagram for more details.
The Easy Living Furniture biggest sale ever must end this Sunday. Absolutely everything is reduced across all our departments, including sofas, dining, bedroom, mattresses, and home accessories. Shop the furniture you love at the best prices ever at Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park, Derry, Londonderry. Don't miss out. The biggest sale ever ends this Sunday.
If it's time for a change of car, maybe it's time you checked out the great deals in pre-owned cars at Divers Hyundai in Letterkenny. It's not just Hyundai models, but a selection of different makes and models in petrol, diesel, hybrid or full electric. Call in for a look at what's available and maybe take a test drive. Your next car could be waiting for you at Divers Hyundai on Canal Road, Letterkenny. See diversgarage.ie.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. Compulsory purchase orders to facilitate the delivery of the 10T project are set to be issued in the coming months. Donegal County Council last year received Cabinet approval for the project. Over €70 million will go toward the delivery of the Ballabafay-Stranora bypass, upgrade works on the route from Letterkenny to Lifford and from Letterkenny to Bannercunningham, including the development of the long-called-for Ponagee Bridge. The project is currently at design and environmental stage. Anya McHugh, Donegal County Council Project Manager for the 10T project and Senior Executive Engineer, is urging any landowner who has concerns to contact them.
I would certainly encourage anybody that has any further questions on the 10T project or feel that maybe they have been impacted and maybe not contacted. Obviously, there's a very slim chance of that happening, but, we've made every effort as much as we possibly can. There's a huge number of people impacted by the project. So I'd certainly encourage everybody to make contact with our land liaison team and we'll deal with any queries that they have.
The Omagh bomb inquiry continues later. Today's session will hear about 2 toddlers who were killed in the blast, as well as a woman who was pregnant with twins when she was killed. 29 people died in the Real IRA attack in Omagh in August of 1998. Paloma lost her sister, 23-year-old Rothio, who was staying in Buncrana at the time on a language exchange trip. She's given her thoughts about being in Omagh 27 years on.
On the one hand, I'm very, very sad because I'm remembering my sister's death.
Y por otra, me he sentido como arropada.
But on the other hand, very much sheltered and protected because I am speaking not only on my own behalf, but on behalf of my whole family.
A Donegal councillor says a scheme to incentivise private landlords to rent to defective concrete block families should be established. Councillor Dennis McGee says a scheme similar to that offered to property owners to house Ukrainian refugees should be set up in a bid to provide much needed accommodation on a temporary basis for families living in unsafe properties or whose homes are being remediated. He says it's imperative that tax-free incentives are available to assist those experiencing the trauma of living in a defective concrete block property. Donegal County Council has agreed to write to the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage on the matter. Councillor McGee says accommodation for affected homeowners is limited.
As slow as it is, people will get their houses remediated, but they'll have nowhere to go. And if they have to go into mobile homes and the weather deteriorates and stuff like this here, it would be just great that they could incentivise private landlords to encourage these peoples to give these peoples homes that they could go into for a year or whatever the construction takes.
There are calls for the ESB to meet with members of Donegal County Council to identify possible weaknesses in the county's electricity supply. At its peak during Storm Eowyn, 90% of properties in Donegal were without power. It could be later this week before supply is restored to all areas. Councillor Kieran Brogan says lessons need to be learned from last week's events. He says part of that will be working with the ESB to ensure a more robust network in the county.
But I think it's important that we do have a debriefing with the ESB to talk about the strengths and the weaknesses that we have, and if that can be identified. A lot of trees in different areas and stuff have come down, and I suppose it'll be as much of a learning curve for us as a council as well for the ESB, and I think it's important we continue to engage. And we have a team here in the council working closely with different agencies. But I think every day is a school day, and where we can learn and from something like this going forward, that's important we do it now soon.
And Donegal County Council is being urged to make representations to the Transport Minister in a bid to secure funding for a feasibility study on a rail connection between Letterkenny and Derry. The All-Ireland Strategic Rail Review published last year recommended such a link. The Council say they've been engaging with TransLink regarding the review. It's also been agreed that a meeting be sought with the Minister. Councillor Declan Meehan says given the significant volume of cross-border activity, the local authority needs to lead the way on ensuring rail connectivity for the North West.
Derry and Donegal is the spot for the highest concentration and amount of cross-border activity. We know that as people living in Donegal, of course, but that is borne out in statistics and figures. 95% of cross-border workers in Derry come from Donegal. 40% of people who use City of Derry Airport come from Donegal, and 15% of cross-border workers even in Belfast come from Donegal.
Well, the forecast in Met Éireann and Telesani, mist and fog will clear this morning, leaving a largely dry day with just some isolated showers, a mix of cloud and sunny spells. Top temperatures today 6 to 9 degrees Celsius. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 11 o'clock. In the meantime, check all of today's news on our website, highlandradio.com. But for now, from the news team, good morning.
The obituary notice is for this Wednesday morning, January the 29th. The death has occurred of Patrick Paddy McGill, late of Orchardstown, Butlerstown, County Waterford, and formerly of Cavan, Lifford, County Donegal. Paddy will be reposing at his residence in Orchardstown, Butlerstown, tomorrow from 4 o'clock until 7 o'clock. Paddy's Requiem Mass will take place on Friday afternoon at 2 o'clock in St Mary's Church, Butlerstown, County Waterford. You can view Paddy's Requiem Mass live on St Paul's and butlerstown.ie. Paddy's cremation service will take place on Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock at the Island Crematorium, Ringaskiddy, County Cork, which can be viewed on islandcrematorium.ie. House private outside of reposal times, please. Family flowers only, donations if desired to Waterford Healing Arts via iDonate. The death has taken place of Bridget Harkin, née Doherty, Boharna, Clonmany. Funeral arrangements to be confirmed later. The death has occurred in England of Patrick PJ McHugh, formerly of Fanmore, Falcarra. His remains will repose at Sweeney's Funeral Home, Ballybose, Falcarra, this evening from 5 o'clock until Rosary at 8 o'clock. Funeral Mass tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock in St Finian's Church, Falcarra, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The funeral mass can be viewed live on mcnmedia.tv or Sweeney Funeral Director's Facebook page. The death has taken place of Rosemary Kelly, née Coyle, 10 Rockdale, Buncrana, and formerly of 12 St Columbus Avenue, Buncrana. Rosemary's remains are reposing at her residence. Removal from there this afternoon at 1:45 for cremation in Lakelands Crematorium, Dublin Road, Cavan. The death has occurred of Margaret McGonigal, née Sheridan, formerly of Gortna Lake, Creeslaw, County Donegal. Margaret's remains will be reposing at the home of her sister Mary Doohan in Gortna Lake, Creeslaw from 12 noon today. Funeral Mass in St Michael's Church, Creeslaw on Friday morning at 11 o'clock. Burial afterwards in Doe Cemetery, Creeslaw. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on mcn.live. Family time please, strictly from 10 o'clock to 12 noon and on the morning of the funeral. The death has taken place of Kasper Dudek, 18 Beechwood Park, Lifford, and formerly of Brody, Poland, reposing at his home. Funeral leaving his home tomorrow morning at 10:15 for Requiem Mass in St Patrick's Church, Murlough, Lifford at 10:30. Cremation afterwards in Lakelands Crematorium. Family time please from 10 o'clock to 12 noon. No flowers please. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. And the death has taken place of Robert Henry, Roy Byers, Town Parks, Raphoe. His remains are reposing at Terence McClintock's funeral home, Ballybow Convoy. Funeral from there this afternoon at 1 o'clock for 2 o'clock service of Thanksgiving in Raphoe Presbyterian Church, followed by burial in the adjoining graveyard. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to Raphoe Presbyterian Church, care of any family member or Terence McClintock, funeral director. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Highland Radio. Introducing Instagram teen accounts with new built-in protections. Accounts are private by default, helping to protect teenagers from unwanted contact. Content and comments are automatically filtered to help ensure what they see is age appropriate. And teenagers under 16 require parental approval to change these protections. Instagram teen accounts. New built-in protections for parents' peace of mind. Learn more at instagram.com/teen accounts.
You're very welcome back to the second hour of Wednesday's 9 till noon show. How are you all keeping out there? Hope you're very well indeed. If you want to contact us, you WhatsApp or text 086 60 25,000, or you can give us a call to 074 91 25,000. We'll be hearing soon more on that Sinn Féin challenge to the appointment of super junior ministers. If you agree with that, let us know. If you disagree, let us know also. We want your views, whichever way they fall. Hi Greg, I just want to thank my great neighbours in Port na Blah. 3 people arrived without my asking and cleared my driveway of fallen trees. My wife has recently passed away and this really helped myself and my family. Thanks to Jonathan Stewart, Andy and the young Ukrainian lad. It would be great if you could read this out on your programme. That comes in from Jerry. I called the ESB, read that they were going to pay everyone €75 for every 24 hours you're without electricity. This is not true despite it being posted online. This is a Facebook post going around. I completely disregarded it, a load of nonsense. I thought it to be a load of nonsense. It's been confirmed by this texter. I think it was along the lines of you're entitled to a certain amount if you go past your restoration date or when a problem's been identified. But anyway, it seems it's nothing. I agree with your caller yesterday. You need to prune the trees back in September and they will grow back. Trees should not be let grow over 15 feet. If kept at that height, they won't do any harm and there should not be any trees under power lines. Full stop. That comes in from Unan. Delighted to hear you speaking over the last few days about dangerous and unnecessary trees. Look at all the damage they caused and the loss of life. Cut now when the storm is still in people's minds. We're inclined to forget weather events too quickly, which is actually really quite a good point. The problem with most roadside trees is the heavy growth of ivy. These trees are wind catchers. Should the council or landowners be responsible for clearing the ivy? Farmers are being hit badly by Storm Eowyn as it's lambing and calving season. I haven't heard much from farmers. You know, they don't often complain much. And I know some people go, what? But they don't often. And I'm sure many going through the ring at the moment. What's the problem with the water in Clonmany? Very difficult to get information regarding this. If it's still out, it's probably a power issue. Hi, Greg. Just want to give a big shout out to the ESB crew, who without them, we would be in a much more serious state. Morning, Greg. Could you ask Donegal County Council where the hubs are opening in our county? That's all available on our website, by the way. You can find out where these hubs are. Hi, Greg. It's really hard to know if there's been a national coordinated response to Storm A1. We only got electricity and water back recently. It's on and off again this morning. No phone coverage throughout, so had no idea what was going on. There's no link to the outside world. I think the scale of damage and works is beyond anything seen in our living memory. The ESB are doing their best, but I think the Army should have been called upon at a point to set up emergency food, water and charging hubs. I think that is one that came in just before those hubs were established. The government should give every household a certain amount of money to help people with the loss of food in freezers. I don't know if we saw the figure, would people be as keen? I have air to water. I had no heat. Bad system, says the listener. Home insurance policies cover frozen food, freezer contents during a power cut. Simply contact your insurance provider for more details. And I think really, and this is why insurance for cars or houses is the real catch for us, because let's say it was €400 or €500 food conservatively, or maybe that's more than people have, I don't know. You make a claim on your insurance, yes, they process it, yes, they refund you. I'm not sure how the excess works in terms of frozen food, but then you have a claim. So if they say to you next year, oh, we're doubling your insurance from €700 to €1,400, and you go, what? And you go to shop around, one of the first questions is have you made a claim in the last 5 years? Yes. What's your quotation going to be then? So it's a catch. It's a real catch. Hi, Greg. I feel that it is the people in the community who too are assisting one another. I don't feel the government have stepped up. Another question, are there government hubs in council buildings? Well, that's also been addressed now. Had all these trees been dealt with over the years, the council, landowners, etc., there wouldn't have been tragedies. Just another case ignored, says Mary. Hi, Greg. Given that the wind and the amount of trees down in Derry was comparable to Donegal, yet very few outages, if any, do they do anything different that we could learn from? Do they have lines underground, etc.? They are also inland, and I know these winds impacted the entire island, but there's no doubt that we felt them more severely on the coast than they might have inland. I don't know if that's a factor. My opinion is that we're made to go all electric as the world wants to control us. They'll be happy, or they'll not be happy, until we're all under the thumb. They want to cash the societies. They can track us. Can I just say, if a government or a state or a police force at this stage wants to track you, the amount of ways they can track you is remarkable. Your mobile phone, if you have it in your pocket, even just the SIM card activated, they know exactly where you've been at any stage with that phone. If you've got Google and you haven't, say for instance, you've got Google on your phone, and you haven't gone through the rigmarole of switching off privacy settings, Google knows exactly where you are at any minute of any day. Facebook does too. X knows precisely where you are at any given time. It's no coincidence that you could go into Homebase, and then next thing you know, in the afternoon, you're getting adverts for chests of drawers and what have you. There are so many ways that you're tracked in every minute of every single day. Cameras absolutely everywhere. Facial recognition software coming in. So the plan that they might have to track us, well, they have tracked us. And the funny thing is most of it, 99% of it, we've opted into. We've bought the phones. We've signed up to Facebook. We've signed up to a Gmail account. It's not the government making us do it. We've done it. So really, the work has already been done. But anyway, listen, I'm not diluting your point. I'm just pointing out that if you have a mobile phone and you carry it around with you, you are tracked. Commit a crime and you'll soon find out. Overhead wires are not the problem. Cut down the trees, starting with non-native spruce and so on and so forth. Loads and loads on trees. I don't want to just keep repeating the same message, but lots of them are saying the same thing. Another one, though, who's responsible for the trees? Is it the landowner? A lot of trees I see down are on private land, but it's broken poles. Surely landowners need to be more responsible for the trees on their land. Another, bring out a policy that any farmer that has trees close to power lines or close to the roads, that they must cut them down. This will save lives also. Get it passed in the Dáil. I think people who have told trees growing through power lines should be made to cut them or get a hefty fine. That has been a big, big problem there. We had a number of you who contacted us, and it's going back some time now, about the Donegal game versus Kerry. You had booked at different hotels, amongst them the Killarney Court Hotel. People tried to rearrange their appointment for when that schedule, their room for when that game is rescheduled, and so on and so forth. We've contacted the hotel. Did we get anything back, I wonder, from that hotel? We'll let you know. Right, okay. Now, a quick announcement here from the Buncrana Children's Charity. Our annual AGM will take place on Tuesday, the 4th of February. It's at 8 p.m. It's in the Inishowen Gateway Hotel. As always, our AGM is open to the public and all are welcome to attend. Proceedings on the night will include the election. Proceedings on the night will include the election of the new committee for 25 new volunteers and having a look at the work we have done over the last year, just to let you know about that. Okay. Thank you. That's where we'll take a very short break. I know many of you waiting to play the bingo numbers. They're coming up right now. And then we'll chat to Sinn Féin spokesperson on finance, Pearse Doherty.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Wednesday, the 29th of January. You're playing on the blue sheet for the daily prize of €800. The reference number is S3. It's game number 5. The numbers are 45, 60, 62, 32, 90, 48, 81, 8, 42, and finally 3. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
New this week in Home Store and More. All Pyrex kitchenware is all half price. But better hurry, because when all our half price Pyrex kitchenware is gone, it's gone. Also, all rugs, all home gym equipment, and all artificial plants and flowers are still all half price. But when all the half price rugs, home gym equipment, and artificial plants and flowers are gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More. Visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. Home Store and More. A happy home.
How does one define grand? Acceptable. Grand. Not too much trouble. That's grand. Say no more. Grand so. It's time to redefine grand and change perceptions. The new Opel Grandland. It's grand. New Opel Grandland. Available in hybrid and electric. Go grand. Test drive the new Opel Grandland at Heron Auto Opel. See heronopel.ie for details.
This fire grate's burnt out again.
I told you, get a heavy duty grate from Fire Grates Donegal.
But I need one right away.
Sure, they have them in stock and ready to go for stoves, open fires, back boilers, ranges, and they even make them to measure.
OK, what's her number?
Hold on a minute, I'll go and get it.
Fire Grates Donegal. Call 086 860 2012 or find them on Facebook. Fire Grates Donegal also deliver to your door. You couldn't beat that.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Right, okay. Sinn Féin TD Pa Daly has initiated legal action against government in relation to super junior ministers. We're going to speak to Deputy Pearse Doherty about that. But first, Deputy Doherty, I might just get your view in relation to the Dáil being in recess, especially in the wake of Storm A1. There are different views on it, you know. People believe that it would show, I suppose, camaraderie, leadership and what have you. I think it was Minister Dara O'Brien that suggested that it would, you know, in effect, make no difference whatsoever. What's your view on it?
All right, thanks, Greg, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to actually address it, because I think this is a serious issue. Even forget about the storm. Forget about the fact that we have we're in day 5 now, and we have people in our county and right across the state without water, without electricity, some without phone coverage as well. Forget about that. The Dáil should be sitting this week. Like, this is the last week of February. We have been on a large recess right since since December. When the Dáil went into recess, we argued we should be back sooner. The government says no. And then when we go back for a day, a scheduled day, they actually go for a 2 weeks recess then again. It's not acceptable. I think the people I've been talking to, whether they're the ESB workers that are out on the ground or indeed Irish water workers or people in our schools or in our public services, they don't get these type of days off to read into their brief or whatever you're arguing for. So outside of the storm, the Dáil should be sitting. The Dáil should be sitting yesterday, today, and tomorrow as normal, as would be normal. The fact that we have a storm, the fact that there is so much damage caused around the state, the fact that so many people are still scratching their heads and wondering what this means for me, will I get the support? What does the humanitarian scheme mean in terms of levels of support? A lot of people didn't know where the hubs were up until very recently, and still people are really, really hungry for information. And I must praise yourself, Greg, in relation to the information that Highland are putting out, and other people personally as well, and using social media and the radio to do that. But the Dáil should be there to actually show leadership in that, to hear the responses from different government ministers, and for us to hold them to account in terms of the fact that it appears once again that there wasn't the level of preparedness that we should have seen for something that was signalled to us.
We did. It is one of those weather events that we were forewarned. We knew early next week how significant the problem was going to be. But just to the point that whilst the optics might appear good, it wouldn't have actually made any difference if the Dáil had been sitting to the response. We've heard from the various ministers say they've coordinated all of this, they've convened meetings, and the work has been going on behind closed doors.
I don't agree with that. And listen, let's get real. You're not going to see Micheál Martin or Simon Harris up a pole fixing the lines, and we don't expect them to do so. But what we do expect them to do is we expect to bring clarity in terms of what's happening with our sports clubs that are damaged. Where's the funding for them? What is going to happen in relation to that? What's happened to houses? Like there's a house in Fulcara, for example, that's been burnt as a result of the storm. There's many other. There's answers that need to happen. There's farmers out there that need to know what type of supports are there. And this is, for a lot of people, this is far too slow. There's questions to be asked about the European support and why they delayed in asking for support from Europe, and what other support can be provided in terms of neighbouring countries.
The answer to that is that it's not that they didn't accept the offer last week. It's that you have to wait until the dust settles before you can actually request what is needed from Europe, which does make a little bit of sense. I mean, you can't say send over 20 generators when you don't know how many generators you might actually need until the storm has passed.
Yeah, look. The issue here is in any walk of life, you actually what did you do in your house when the storm was signalled? Well, I presume what most people in Donegal were doing is they were looking at where are the candles, are your phones charged, is there a bit of water there, in a couple of basins and stuff like that. That's what you do. You don't, you prepare. So there was a lack of preparedness there. Why did it? You don't do the assessment after the fact. You don't say, oh, the lights are out, there's no water now, let's start scrambling looking for stuff. So that's what there is a criticism in terms of government in relation to this here. So that's why we called and wrote to Micheál Martin asking him for the Dáil to be resumed. And as I said, Greg, the Dáil should be sitting. I was in Dublin yesterday, the Dáil should be sitting, and we should be discussing these issues. And we're representatives of the people. The idea that the Dáil does not matter is nonsense. Otherwise, just what's the point of it? Get rid of it and let the executive work on their own.
I put the question out. I put the question out earlier today, and I don't know the answer to it, but interesting what you might think. If there's a major crisis in Florida or a state in America or France or Spain or Italy, we've seen politicians lose their jobs because they came back 2 days late from a holiday or something. Is it a similar situation here? I'm just thinking, if this had happened in a state in America or another country, would the press not be absolutely hammering whoever is in charge? It is a similar situation, is it? So I was trying to work it out in my head that the front page news would be, if a such and such a minister was in France, or if such and such a minister wasn't because I saw Darragh O'Brien. This is Darragh O'Brien, yeah, on on Twitter talking about how he had been coordinating the ESB's response to this and all that type of stuff. But I mean, I presume the ESB were doing that themselves. Do you think there's been enough of a challenge to the government in the press?
No, I look at, many people probably wouldn't even have heard that Sinn Féin had called for this Dáil to be reconvened on Sunday, for reconvene this week, or that Mary Lou wrote to Micheál Martin in relation to. And when I hear you talking there, Greg, I'm thinking of, the St. Patrick's Day's events and all of the kind of events that go around them. Biden cancelled some of the events. Remember, there was supposed to be a large Irish event that was cancelled, where the Taoiseach, I believe, was supposed to be at. And the reason that it was cancelled is because there was a forecast for severe weather. I think it was Florida at the time. And that was the right call because, he was saying, it didn't happen, but I'm actually cancelling this because I need my focus in relation to that. So these things do happen and they do matter. And it is really, really important. If you're sitting here listening to this radio station, or if you're down the country, or if you're somewhere there, you haven't been able to take a shower, you haven't been able to, put on the kettle, you're in the dark from nighttime, you don't know how you're heating your home, and you're being told by the ESB that you're probably in that situation till the 5th of February. And the idea that the Dáil is not sitting, the idea that politicians are not sitting and saying, what the hell is happening here? Why are we not prepared? Why is our infrastructure so weak that we've allowed this to happen? And how can this happen in the year 2025? Now, I'm not suggesting that these things aren't going to happen. What I am suggesting is, should we be better prepared? Should there be more availabilities in generators? Should there be standby locations? Like if you look at the community hubs, Greg, that have been announced in Donegal, the reality is they're community facilities that came together themselves and presented this. This didn't seem to me as like a great plan from government. These are like your local, your Inagh Doors and your GA there in Lifford and, and hotels and others who have come together and said...
Yeah, you can make a very strong argument. That stuff wasn't there Monday morning. All of that should have been in place on Saturday. Because
absolutely, and support from government.
We were connect. Well, yeah, but I don't want to sound like it's me and you v the government. That's not my point. But or the council for that matter. But we were connecting people with community facilities on Saturday, and I was scratching my head, and I was connecting people without home or without power and water to people that were very kindly giving up their own personal properties, and what I couldn't figure out is I'm more than happy to do that and facilitate that. But from Saturday morning, why wasn't that being done on a statutory level or whatever the phraseology might be, connecting people? Because if you're an older person and your heat's been out since 9 o'clock on Friday morning, by 9 o'clock Saturday morning your house is freezing. You might not have an open fire. Monday or Tuesday is a little too late because you've already put your own plans in place by the time that rolls around. So it's almost as if the weekend didn't happen.
But this is one of the things, Greg, that actually didn't even need to happen, didn't need to wait till Friday. Like, if we're talking about emergency response, and this is stuff that should be in top drawer stuff, there are community groups and organisations and businesses right across the state that have generators, and therefore that information should be available. So if you're somebody who's got a disability, maybe a child with disability that has to be lifted by a hoist, and the power is gone in relation to that hoist, you should be able to know straight away, even before that, because you have anxiety and all of the rest, where is your nearest place where you can get that recharged. And all of that, all of that should be top drawer stuff, so that you just go to it and you publicize it and you say, these are the areas that have, and these are the supports then that government are going to provide these community groups, these sporting organisations, to make sure that they can man these centres, and the additional maybe salary or additional allowances that need to be paid.
Formalise the agreements, all of that really can be effectively worked out. And formalise it for future. You formalise these arrangements for future, because it is going to happen again. Pa Daly's challenge is going to be heard today, or at least the process has begun, will be heard today. He's calling out the government and taking a court case on Super Junior ministers. You were really quite strong in your language as it relates to Michael Lowry in the Dáil. And I think you've described it as a grubby deal, the appointment of Super Junior ministers. So what is the issue with it?
Yeah, so this is part of this grubby little deal between Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael with Michael Lowry and the formation of government. So as part of that, we know all the background in terms of Lowry and some of that has played out in the Dáil. But as part of that also, it is about appointing the largest number, and you're going to hear more about this today when the names come out. But remember, this is the largest number of junior ministers that we ever had in the history of the state. The government are going to announce 23 junior ministers today. Just to put that in context, when I got elected first, it was 15. So they have increased the number by 8. When I was elected first, there was 1 super junior minister. Super junior ministers are new. They didn't used to exist all the time. Now there's 4. It went from 1 to 2. The last time it was 3. They increased it to 3. Now they've increased it to 4. And what these so-called super junior ministers are, they're junior ministers, so they already get pay increases. They already get, extra SPADs or special advisors, ministerial cars, and all of that that goes with it. But the super juniors are actually getting more money then on top of all of that, and they're allowed to attend cabinet. Our view is that this is jobs for the boys stuff. It isn't about making government better. It isn't about delivering better services for people. It's about how do you actually
But you say that, but maybe, but if
government.
if you have an interest in a particular area, agriculture or fishing or higher education or what have you, or if you are from an area that has no ministerial representation, you'd be very pleased to get a super junior minister. I mean, obviously the cost is the cost. I think people, I don't know. It is just what it is. But would you not be, if you're a regular member of the public and you get a super junior minister, you don't have a minister, or you get someone who will speak specifically on an issue that's important to you, well, maybe you might see that as money being well spent.
So first of all, a super junior minister would have only roles that the senior minister also has. Okay, so like if you just remember that, so if you're talking about, say, anything, just say it was food, one of the super juniors is in relation to food, the senior minister has that responsibility. The senior minister is at cabinet. There's 15. The constitution only allows for 15 people at cabinet. It's between 7 and 15. Now there is 19 at cabinet. As I said, where does this end? Do we have another, the next time round, just for more jobs for the boys, that we actually have, 30 junior ministers and maybe 7 super junior ministers? This has got to a stage that is ridiculous.
Well, the optics of it are obviously significant, because at the time of the crash, I think it might have been Enda Kenny that trimmed an awful lot of this back. So they're definitely so the Fine Gael government has seen in the past that the amount of junior ministers or super juniors, I think probably just junior ministers at that time, it is bad optics, and I presume that is why he trimmed it back as he did. But now we're in boom times and we're having more than ever. So there seems to be some sort of a connection between the prosperity of the country and the amount of extra posts there are.
Look, to tell you the truth, I think Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael have lost the run of themselves in relation to this here. And you would have had Fianna Fáil criticise Fine Gael in the past, and Fine Gael criticise Fianna Fáil, depending which one was in opposition. When the two of them are there now, it's splurging. But it's splurging for themselves. And it's not just that they're appointing more junior ministers than ever before and more super junior ministers. One of the first pieces of legislation that they're going to introduce is actually to increase the pay of these individuals, and also to provide them up to €32,000 of additional allowances. This doesn't end here. This isn't as something that doesn't cost you money, and maybe in the context of the billions of euro that the state has, it mightn't be significant, but it is about the type of government you have. And what we have here is a government that has, in the first instance, prioritized itself, prioritised how they actually look after, as I said, the jobs for the boys. But most importantly, Greg, this is the issue. Why is Sinn Féin taking the government of Ireland to court? We're taking them to court because we believe this is unconstitutional. It's not just a case that this is a political stroke. It's not just a case that they're using our taxpayers' money to feather their nests. That isn't just the case. This is not allowed. It is illegal in our view, and against the Constitution. And we are deciding to call this government out. Mary Lou said it yesterday, that we are going to take this government on toe-to-toe on issues on housing, health, cost of living, but we're also going to call them out when they pull political strokes like this here, and that's why yesterday we asked for this to be mentioned in the court today. The judge has allowed that in today. This afternoon, the request for application for leave will be heard in the High Courts, and I'm very strong of the view, we've very, very strong opinion that what the government are doing is unconstitutional.
All right, well, it's up to the courts to decide. Now, thank you for your time. That's Deputy Pearse Doherty, Sinn Féin spokesperson for finance. And of course, the obviously elephant in the room. It's easy to say, what a government is doing wrong and how they're spending money and who they're appointing and whether they should do that or other when you're, I suppose, in opposition and didn't have to make that call yourself. What about us, Sinn Féin spokesperson for Justice? Will Pearse comment on that? That's him having a conviction. I presume you're talking to Matt Carthy there. That's a long-running one. Sorry, I only just saw that. But there's lots of people with convictions. I suppose it comes down to what your view is rather than what Pearse Doherty's view is, whether you think that's acceptable or not. Have you got to say you won't see a shinner up a pole either? Yeah, that's really quite true. Okay, we're going to take a break now, and we'll be back with more on this 9 till noon show after these.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out ShaneConleyCars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonaher Road, Donegal Town.
Mary here from the cosmetic department at McGee's Pharmacy to let you know that Clarence have a great skincare gift available this week. Buy 2 Clarence products, one to be skincare, and you will get a choice of 4 treat size essentials. Which 4 will you choose? This great Clarence offer is available until Saturday the 8th of February or while stocks last, and store and online at mcgees.ie. For any skincare advice, you can always talk to myself or any staff member at McGee's Chemist on Main Street, Letterkenny.
Keep out the cold, cold, cold! And ring Fleming for their full range of garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234.
Are you building, rebuilding or simply improving your home? Come along to Donegal's premier gathering of home building professionals in the Northwest. Donegal New Build and Rebuild 2025 will take place in the Mount Erigal Hotel, Letterkenny, February 1st, 2nd and 3rd. Admission is free to this 3-day event. This ad is sponsored by AIB Letterkenny.
We move Ireland's energy through one of Europe's most modern gas networks, delivering the energy you need today throughout the country. And now we're moving Ireland's energy in a new way, bringing more sustainable sources into the pipeline. Gas Networks Ireland, moving Ireland's energy.
This Bank Holiday Sunday at the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny, there's Claudia Buckley and her band, dancing from 9 till 11, admission €20. Doors open from 8 with support artist from 8:15. And don't miss Nathan Carter in concert on Sunday, February 9th. Tickets priced at €35. Available from the Clanry Hotel reception. Overnight packages available. But this Sunday, don't miss Claudia Buckley at the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny.
Now, you would have heard of the plight faced by Kathleen Barrett. She lost her home in Falcarra after a fire tore through it last Thursday, the 23rd of January. Maeve Barrett is Kathleen's niece and joins me on the programme now. Good morning to you, Maeve.
Hi, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing good. And first and foremost, how is Kathleen? We do know she was in the intensive care unit at Letterkenny University Hospital. How is she now?
Yeah, she got released from hospital and she's doing so much better, but she's still in such shock over the whole thing. Nothing is sinking in with her at all.
No, and she's been through the ringer before, hasn't she? She's a breast cancer survivor. Can't get around as well as she might like. So, you know, this is a woman that's, faced hardship already in her life with this coming in most recently, and on top of all of that.
Yeah, she's had a tough time. I mean, and it's only been 2 years since she lost her husband to cancer as well, So it's just, she didn't need this.
No, and Kathleen too's a giver, isn't she? She's not a taker. She's got a reputation for doing anything for anyone that she can.
Yeah, she's fantastic. Like, she's such a big-hearted, kind-hearted lady. Like, she would genuinely do anything for anybody that she could.
What happened last Thursday, Maeve?
Oh my God. We got the phone call at 11:30 in the morning, or 11:30 at night. It was just my mum, and she said, Kathleen's house is on fire, and me and my sister Karina jumped in the car and we went straight down. There was fire engines, there was people out on the street, and someone came and told me, I can't remember quite who, that Kathleen had made it into the neighbour's house, and that the house was just, it was just, and with the wind as well, the fire just ripped through the house.
And was it the storm that caused the fire, Maeve?
We're not actually sure, Greg. There's an investigation going to happen into that now this week or next week. We're not sure if it was an electrical fault or if it was the fact that the trees came down onto the wires of the house, because 15 trees fell down onto the house.
Sounds
as
probable.
well as the fire.
Yeah.
Now,
obviously, the fire service, quick on scene, did an amazing job tackling the fire, containing it. But listen, I mean, the fire does its damage, and to put the fire out as well, a lot of water has to go on to the property. What is the condition of the property, Maeve, and its contents?
Everything is gone. There's nothing salvageable in the house at all whatsoever. And my dad, Kevin, spoke to a builder, and he said that the house just has to be tumbled.
Start from the beginning.
Yeah.
I don't think I would. I'd be very surprised if Kathleen's even began to process that type of information at this point with the shock and with the stay in the hospital and only just recently getting out. Is she able to sort of, process the reality of the loss, I wonder?
Absolutely not. No, that hasn't sunk in yet at all whatsoever. She's talking about it over and over, but you can tell that it doesn't feel real to her yet, and she's just crying all the time. It's heartbreaking.
Okay.
It's heartbreaking to see her.
I hope, if not now, in time, and I'm sure this is what you're feeling already, Maeve, the public outpouring of love and generosity and support towards Kathleen. As I say, if she's not getting comfort from that now, she certainly will into the future. It's been remarkable, hasn't it? Because a GoFundMe page was set up whilst she was still in hospital, in fact, and the response has been amazing. That her story and her as an individual has clearly touched the hearts of many.
Oh my God, yeah, the public is just, it's unbelievable. Like, we're sitting and we're talking about it, and we're floored by the generosity of locals and strangers alike, and people are organising fundraising dances already. It's amazing, and I just want to thank everybody on behalf of Kathleen and her son Aidan. It would nearly make us cry every time we think about people's generosity. It's just been fantastic.
Yeah, but even if you were, at least might be happy tears replacing the sad tears. The GoFundMe page is still open. We'll link it. It can the URLs are so convoluted, Maeve. It can be hard to signpost people to a GoFundMe appeal, unless you have a link to click. But if you search Kathleen Barrett on GoFundMe, I presume the donation page will pop up.
Yeah, it will. It'll pop up straight away. Yeah. And
in the first instance, maybe people might have been thinking that maybe replace some of the roof or what have you. But it's clear already that she faces an incredible expense here, and it's about returning her and thankfully her wee dog who survived the fire to her own place, her own independence and her own space again.
Absolutely. That's all she wants, is just her own little corner, as she calls it, with her wee dog Collie. And, she has nothing. I mean, people have been so good. Like, there's even a dentist in Letterkenny, O3 Dental, and they're even going to replace her dentures for her. Do you know what I mean? Free of charge. She literally didn't even have a pair of socks. That's how bad it was. So the GoFundMe page is of huge importance.
Okay, so search Kathleen Barrett and GoFundMe, and it should pop up there, just to make sure. Just make sure before you click anything that you double check and what have you. And every little bit helps. And it's going to take time, Maeve. It's going to take time, obviously, for the rebuild. It's going to take time for Kathleen to work through all of this herself, but hopefully she does. She's clearly got a wonderful family around her and great friends and neighbours as well. So hopefully that'll be enough for her to get over this. And so often I've covered stories like this, be it individual losses or commercial losses, and time does heal. And months and pass, and next thing you know, people are back in their premises and can see a bright future, and can move on from incidences like this. So I just hope that's the case for Kathleen, like I've seen so often in the past.
Yeah. Well, she's a fighter. She's a fighter.
All right, Maeve, listen, God bless you. Thanks so much. Send our love, if you don't mind personally, to Kathleen. Tell her we're all thinking on her, and she knows that through the generosity, but I mean from a Highland Radio perspective. And we thank you so very much for chatting to us.
All right, brilliant, Greg, and thanks for having me on.
Okay, Maeve. So search out GoFundMe and Kathleen Barrett, or maybe it might suit you better just to click the link, which Shannon will post on our Facebook page really shortly. That's on the Highland Hub page, if it's not up there already. And if you can donate a little bit to get Kathleen back into her own little corner with her dog Collie. She's been through an awful lot. A breast cancer survivor. She has limited mobility. She lost her hubby to cancer not so long ago. So she's been through a lot, but she has a reputation of being a lovely lady, very, very popular, and she would do anything for anyone. So now people are doing a little bit for her. Individually, little bits. Overall, massive stuff.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Are you looking for a powerful, high-performance laptop? Think green and save big with Ben Sweeney Euronics. Discover refurbished Lenovo ThinkPads that look and feel like new, with Windows 11 pre-installed and a rock-solid 3-year warranty for total peace of mind. Why pay full price when you can save up to 70% and do your part for the planet by choosing sustainable tech? Find yours today at Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road, Letterkenny, and the shopping centre, Dunlow.
It's here, the mega January sale at House Proud Furniture. Time to grab a non-repeatable bargain with hundreds of sofas in stock and ready for immediate delivery, and up to 50% off in-store and online, including dining and bedroom furniture. The House Proud mega January sale is now on at Abercorn Square, Strabane and Great Northern Retail Park, Omagh.
Visit Century Complex for a perfect family day out. Kids will love exploring Century Play. Hours of fun at our brand new indoor Crazy Golf. Lots of tasty options available in Backstage Bar and Grill. And at Century Cinemas, we're showing comedies, actions and adventure movies. Get in touch on 074 9121 or visit centurycinemas.ie for more information.
Are you doing dry January? Says I to Mr. Brennan. Well, to see, I gave it a go, but I only lasted a couple of days. I mean, a whole month of only eating dry toast when our beautiful fresh Brennan's family pan calls out for butter, for bacon, for sauce and for delicious fillings of all sorts. Who'd be able? True for you, says I. Sure isn't that why anything baked is better with Brennan's. Today's bread, today.
The Smart #1 comes with more. More space, like much more. More room for kids, shopping, luggage, even the dog. More tech, more of that Mercedes-Benz design with up to €9,800 savings and 0% finance. It's the all-electric Smart #1, now with more car. Find out more at smartelectric.ie or visit your local Mercedes-Benz dealer while stocks last. €9,800 saving includes 3,500 SEAI grant, 3,500 Smart Sustainability promotion and 2,800 applicable VRT relief.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenny's. Join us on March 8th for our special occasion preview with the sparkling afternoon tea in Harvey's Point. Tickets go on sale Friday 31st of January at 7pm. Available from mcelhennys.com.
All right, a largely dry day today with just isolated showers and a mix of cloud and sunny spells. Scattered showers will develop during the evening. Highest temperatures of 6 to 9 degrees with light to moderate northerly winds. Now, things are moving apace with the Hospitality Awards 2025 because in your thousands you have been nominating businesses working in various sectors under the headlines of the hospitality sector, restaurant sector, tourism and entertainment, bar and pub. And we have our shortlist. Is that correct? Sean Quinn of our sales team, in fact, the head of it. Good morning, Sean.
Good morning, Greg. How are you? Yeah, it's true. We've spent the last 2 days looking at thousands and thousands of nominations across 40 awards, and we've got there. We've got a short list of 3 in each category, and we have done the spade work now, where we've sent the submission forms to the all the lucky companies who have been shortlisted. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, indeed. And a fantastic spread too. I'm just running down through these categories. So the way it works is that you go onto our website, highlandradio.com. You'll see it. You click in. It's really big and easy to read, okay? So under each banner, say, for instance, I'll choose restaurants at this stage. So we want you to go in to all of them, by the way. Spend 5 minutes and have a bit of crack with it. So you can go into restaurants, for an example, and sponsored by Northwest Gas. Best casual dining, best fine dining, best calf, best burger, so on and so forth. Then you click the Vote Now button, and then you can scroll down, and each category you can click one. That's all you have to do. So best casual dining, Thatch Bar and Restaurant, the Strand Road Bar and Restaurant, Hatched. So you click one. I'm not actually going to submit these because I don't want it to be unfair.
Yeah.
The best fine dining, number 9 Market Square, up in there. That's all right. Although Old Glen Bar and Restaurant's closer to me, so I don't know whether I'm going to. I went to the Old Glen Bar and Restaurant, and it was fantastic because they do this. I think they still do it. They do this menu of
set menu, yeah,
nice food.
Yeah.
But I went out with Aisling, and she's like spuds and gravy, so I had 2. And I rolled out of there.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You ate 2 of them.
And then the worst was there was a gentleman there, and I was chatting to them and what have you, and they sent me over hot whiskey, and I don't drink whiskey, so I was sitting there with two dinners in me, duck breast and everything,
and a nice hot whiskey to finish it off.
Hot whiskey. So the best cafe, for an example, has been reduced down to the Coffee Nook, Honeypot Coffee House, Old Chapel Road. Now, there's an awful lot going on here. The public have a tough job in picking out, although maybe it's easy because they've got lovely experiences, but in whittling down all of the amazing businesses that we receive nominations for, like you the team have and the judges have, an amazing piece of work.
Yeah, it is. And I suppose what we did this year, Greg, is we wanted to bring our listeners and the customers involved in the process. So that's gonna help the judges, because the judges will still. I suppose what I want to say here is, if you've been shortlisted, it's so important that you take time to fill out the submission form, because the judges will look at each one for each category, and they'll also look at the reviews on social media, on Trustpilot, etc., for those businesses, and from that they will inform their opinion. And what we'll do then is, we'll collate the listeners' votes to determine who will be the winner of each category, and will be awarded and recognised on the evening of the 2nd.
There's a remarkable spread, isn't it? And I suppose, it's not surprising, because these are regional awards that we run here, and also we've got the reach right across that region. And You look at some of the shortlists, it's all over the place, isn't it? But there's some interesting little battles that are going to be fought there. I'm looking at Best Arts and Theatre Venue, on Grianon Theatre, Regional Cultural Centre, Ballard Arts Theatre.
It's brilliant. Do you know what?
Pick one of them.
It just
That's
adds,
like Mike Tyson versus Alexander Usyk.
I was going to say Frank Bruno there.
Yeah, but that's
really
because you're an old fart, whereas I'm young and trendy.
Yeah, okay.
You see,
I'll give you that one.
But do you know what I mean? These are some of them really competitive categories. But it's all there, and it's very simple. It's well laid out. I hate clunky, fiddly websites, and I'm not just saying this because I'm actually kind of honest on the radio. I'm always honest on the radio. I like it. It's very easy to use.
Well, that's good coming from you, because I know that you're a techie. So what we wanted to do is make it as simple as possible, that everybody can get involved and use it. And as you said, it's just a quick click and vote now, and you can scroll down and go into the next category. So if you've got 6 or 7 of your favourite businesses that have been shortlisted, what I'm saying to you this morning is, go and take a few minutes and and recognise them and vote for them. And it means that if you've nominated them, it's nice now to vote for them.
Now, businesses, you have been contacted or will be contacted by the team here. At the very top, just above the voting, there is a page there which has a pre-prepared poster. Nominate us, Highland Radio Hospitality Awards. Get it onto your social media. We're sponsored it's brought to you in association with Fulcher Ireland and Donegal County Council. Get it onto your social media, print it out and put it into your window. There's no shame in that game here. This is competitive. You want as many votes as possible. Obviously, the judges will have their say as well, but a great deal of emphasis is on the public vote as well. So download the poster, which is printable, and get it up on your social media and get your fans voting for you because, everyone's going to be at it, so you want to be ahead of the game too.
You absolutely do, and from today it's available to download. Do it, and because you deserve it. If your customers should vote for you if you're doing what you say you can do for them. You deliver service, and they're happy with it.
And they nominated you to get you onto the shortlist.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as I say, we had thousands upon thousands of nominations. And but no, I just think this adds nicely to it, Greg, where people can now recognise again that they want you to be winners. And trust me, on the night on the 2nd, the atmosphere in the room will be incredible.
Yeah, it's going to be brilliant. It's a great night out. Our judges this year, Chef Gary O'Hanlon, needs no introduction. Dr. Kieran O'Hanrahan, Head of Tourism at ATU. Aisling Arnold, the relatively recently appointed Chair of the Donegal branch of the Irish Hotels Federation. And Lauren McDonough, who's a content creator and owner of Social Studio in Derry. So their expertise will be used across the various categories. Right, so we've sent out the shortlists to businesses, have we?
Yeah, they went yesterday.
They have them. Right, okay,
so what I will say, if you can check the list of shortlists on our website, so scroll down into each category. If you see your name and you haven't received a submission form, please get in touch with us today. So you can email me at the station, or you can ring us on 074 91 25,000. And we will. We've endeavoured to get all the emails. So we as far as
some might end up in spam. You never know.
Exactly.
Or someone might open it and not tell the boss. That's the kind of stuff happens here, right? So double check the website to see if you are shortlisted. To vote, by the way, please vote in your numbers. It's really simple and it's really important, and it costs you nothing, and it's a big support for local businesses in the area. These are incredibly prestigious awards and do mean a great deal, but they're incredibly inclusive right across the county. Different types of businesses. We've got multi-million euro businesses that are massive. And we've got businesses where it might be one or two people, but they might not necessarily have the income, but they've got the customer service and the care for the customer that the big companies have. And it's right across the board. And there's very, very few, if any, such inclusive awards out there, which another element of this little lecture.
Absolutely. You couldn't have put it better. And I think the key thing to say here is if you get your submission form, do take that extra day to do it, but we need it back by the 7th of February. And that's important because we then start that process of the judges and merging the votes together. That we've got it all done in good time for the 2nd in Jackson's Hotel.
All right, we'll convene again because we will want to talk more about the night, and we'll remind people of the voting process and all that kind of stuff.
Perfect.
All right, Sean, thanks so much.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Okay, it is exactly 11 o'clock, means it's time for a news update. Good morning again, Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. Compulsory purchase orders to facilitate the delivery of the 10T project are set to be issued in the coming months. Donegal County Council last year received cabinet approval for the project. Over 70 million will go toward the delivery of the Ballaba Faistron bypass, upgrade works on the Letterkenny to Lifford Road and Letterkenny to Manor Cunningham, including the development of the long-sought Bonagee Bridge. Donegal County Council's local coordination group has published a map detailing the community centres who have responded in a positive way to a call on sports clubs and other local organisations to open their premises to provide essential services. The council says 38 have signed up so far, and that number is increasing all the time. More details and links to the map and associated files available on highlandradio.com. Gardaí in West Donegal have published a video as part of the renewed appeal for information regarding the murder at his Mina Cross home 20 years ago of Sean Duffy. The video has been published on their social media pages. You can also access it on our website. A Donegal councillor believes a scheme to incentivise private landlords to rent to defective concrete block families should be established. Councillor Dennis McGee says a scheme similar to that offered to property owners to house Ukrainian refugees should be set up in a bid to provide accommodation on a temporary basis for families living in unsafe properties or whose homes are being remediated. He says it's imperative that tax-free incentives are available to assist those experiencing the trauma of defective concrete blocks. Donegal County Council is being urged to make representations to the Transport Minister in a bid to secure funding for a feasibility study on a rail connection between Letterkenny and Derry. The All-Ireland Strategic Rail Review published last year recommended such a link. The Council says it has been engaging with TransLink regarding the review and has also agreed to seek a meeting with Minister Darragh O'Brien. And Sinn Féin TD Pat Daly is bringing a case to the High Court challenging the appointment of 4 Super Junior ministers sitting at Cabinet. He says the Constitution limits the number of government ministers to 15 and the presence of the junior ministers at Cabinet raises serious questions. On today's 9 till noon show, Donegal TD Pearse Doherty backed the action, saying Sinn Féin will call the government out when they believe its actions are wrong. And we're back with headlines again at 12 noon.
Thank you very much, Donal. And don't forget to get onto our website, highlandradio.com. Click the banner that mentions Hospitality Awards. Go down and go into the various sections and vote for your favourite business in each section. It's a bit of fun, actually. I enjoyed even just messing around with it. So that's highlandradio.com. If you are a business that has been shortlisted, please download the poster, stick it up on your social media, get your supporters voting for you, or indeed print it off and stick it in the window. We have contacted everyone who has been shortlisted via email, and we'll double check with people as the days wear on. But check it, and if you are nominated but we haven't contacted you, contact the team here, Sean or any of the sales team, and we can have a chat with you then.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at The Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system, and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
Are you worried about trees on your property? Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet are fully insured and have over 40 years experience in dangerous tree removal, tree felling, surgery and stump grinding. For peace of mind, call Northwest Forest Services Ballybuffet for a no obligation quotation on 913233.
Beat your personal best with top brands and premium running footwear from Michael Murphy Sports. There's new arrivals from Asics, New Balance, Brooks, Adidas and Under Armour in a range of structured and neutral styles. Get free next day delivery on orders over €85. Find your perfect pair and reach peak performance with michaelmurphysports.ie.
Hi everyone, David James here, and I'm really excited to be launching my brand new band in the Allingham Arms Bundoran on Saturday the 1st of February with my special guests Hugo Duncan and Conor O'Donnell. Come along for a great night of music as I launch my new band, Saturday the 1st of February, the Allingham Arms Bundoran.
Looking for your dream car in Donegal? Look no further than Heron Auto, your go-to Kia and Opel main dealer. With a massive selection of over 70 quality used cars in stock, we've got the perfect vehicle waiting just for you. Call in to Heron Auto today and drive home in style with a car that fits your taste and budget. Heron Auto, Donegal Town, where your dream car becomes a reality.
Jimmer Natasha of Colin Ferder and Shaw Biggie Lynn Yehi Kedinye Lahai Rulia Bulia Nuraveus Butcher and Comortish National Pan Kelcha Anya Darkan and Mahajurta Biosa Studio Komail Shana Scanlan Agazi Sholu Kjol Ur Brúile búile ihí cédaine, Sharkadí ard, B, G, Lynn and Shaw are Highland Radio.
So it's still getting dark just after lunch, and all you've got to look forward to is the rest of January. Dark, gloomy January. Ugh. But no worries. At least Aldi can brighten up your breakfast. With specially selected blueberries only $1.99. Protein pancakes only $1.75. And pure squeezy honey only $1.69. And you know what? Spring's just around the corner. Just like your local Aldi. Good food, good mood from Aldi.
Now, Bridine Bell, a member of the organising committee for Minding Bridget, joins us on the programme now. Bridine, also an advanced nurse practitioner at Women's Health in Sligo University Hospital. Good morning to you. How are you keeping?
I'm very good, Greg.
It's great to have you on the show. I'm doing fantastic. And we're talking about Minding Bridget. It's an event to help women take charge of their health. It's a major event focusing on women's health, and it's taking place in Donegal on St. Bridget's weekend.
Yes, it is.
Really well planned.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I suppose I have been in healthcare, particularly around women, for over 30 years. And I have worked as a forensic examiner in the sexual assault treatment unit. I've worked as a midwife, I've worked in primary care, and now investigating abnormal bleeding in women. And so my lens is has a lateral view in terms of women's health and all the different holistic care needs that women have.
When we talk about, sorry to interrupt, holistic care. What does that actually mean? Because I think part of this is to sort of educate and inform and encourage. So what is holistic care versus, traditional care, or maybe it's all part of the same thing, Bridine?
Yeah, so I'm delighted you asked me that. So for me, holistic care for women means that we can't just look at abnormal bleeding in women, for example. We need to look at if they have a history of sexual violence, how does that impact on them accessing these services? For young women, if they are trying to partake in sports at school and they're dealing with heavy menstrual periods, then we can't separate the two. We need to actually acknowledge one in order to be able to facilitate the other. So it's acknowledging the physical, the psychological aspects that women go through. So you're right, the weekend is it's information. So I suppose I'll highlight the challenges, and then I have my other guest speakers coming in to say, okay, well, these are the challenges, but actually these are ways that you can help yourself.
Yeah, indeed. And talk to me about the event itself. I'm sure you're very pleased to have Lorraine Keane as MC, who'll be very well known, of course. So talk to me about the event and what's planned over the course of the few hours.
Thank you. Yes. So on the Friday, I've organised a Minding Little Bridget event. So that's acknowledging those young group of kids that sometimes get their periods when they're in primary school and they're trying to navigate the way. So I'm looking at the TYs. I invited 5 schools from Killybegs up as far as Bundoran. There's 3 of them coming. And in that, I will open up with a little bit of healthcare for girls from myself. Then I have a motivational testimonial from Nicola Dunyan. Nicola was one of the first All-Stars women. So I really was interested for her to explain her journey as a woman, navigating her way through all the puberty and hormonal issues, but actually being able to keep fit and to keep the sports, which I think is really important. I have Jigsaw. Deirdre McGill is coming from Jigsaw Mental Health. So she's going to talk around, hopefully, that anxiety that a lot of these young girls experience. And they're going to stay with me for the afternoon or for the morning, which I'm really grateful for. I have Deirdre Durkin, Garda Deirdre Durkin, and Garda Yvonne Carolyn. So they're going to speak around safety. So these young kids are going to be going on to senior Leaving Cert and then on to college. So I think it's really important that we kind of introduce or flag some areas that may be at risk for them, how they can empower themselves to take control. Mm-hmm. Marie Booth is kindly going to do a little bit of skin care because teenage skin can be very problematic. Then I've Eddie Gorman and his team Michael are coming to do a little bit of exercise and fitness, and finished off by Grace O'Callaghan, who's going to do a little dance to show them that actually fitness can be fun.
Mm-hmm. So I think the Little Bridget thing is great, because I know myself as a young teenager, and it's probably, and I'm sure it is more complicated for girls than it is boys. But even when you've got a close family, you can feel quite isolated when things are happening to your body or things that you can't explain, or is it normal? Is it not normal? And then obviously it can trigger anxiety, concern, and worry and all that type of stuff. Some people are great at talking amongst friends and get that knowledge. Maybe some mums are really in there and what have you, but not everyone is equal in that regard. And that's by invite, right? But Minding Bridget, which we're inviting people to now, that is funding the event that goes before it.
Yeah, so
which took me as a man a little bit of time to work out how an event after another event could fund the previous event. But I got it. I've figured it out. But it's good.
Yeah. So it wasn't. I didn't get a lot of funding. So a few local people can give me money, but I didn't look for any government funding for this. And I suppose the fact that it's in Donegal town, normally if I was to do something like this, it would be with the CNMEs in Letterkenny or Sligo. So it kind of isolated me a bit. But I wanted to bring something back to my own community.
I think it's amazing, actually, that you've put something like this on, with no disrespect to anyone in Sligo or Letterkenny, but in Donegal town, pretty much bang in between them. You've mentioned abnormal bleeding. There'll be lots of other stuff that will be discussed at Minding Bridget. You mentioned fitness and exercise, hormone replacement therapy, menopause, cervical screening, breast screening, two really important things, obviously, to get ahead of any problems that we might have. Pelvic health, which is an issue for an awful lot of people as well. Bone health, which can be tied into menopause as well, of course, and metabolic health, and then personal safety. So there's a lot going on there, a lot for everyone, but also an opportunity for lots of people potentially to get together for a morning from 9:15 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. on a Saturday. Get the kids looked after if you need to, right? In the Abbey Hotel in Donegal town. So it's on a Saturday and a Saturday morning on February 1st.
Yeah, so I particularly picked the morning because sometimes it can be focused too much on social events. I wanted to get the message out there. And if this triggers one woman to go to her GP and say, I heard something at the weekend, I think I need to be here, then we have done our job. And that's really important that we have been able to do that. So it is, and it's interesting you bring up, so we've invited a lot of the community groups around there, like if you're into rowing or sea swimming or the singing like myself, then we will have tables there that if you'd like someone to contact you to invite you along to those groups. So it's really trying to engage women and to make them feel less isolated, to make them feel more part of that community. So,
it's really, really important. I mean, just something, we cover many of these issues on this programme, but often, in terms of bleeding, say, for instance, women of a certain age or not might put it down to menopause or connected to that or other issues. Everything often with some people, they're so, brave often and putting everybody else before them. Everything goes down to menopause. And very sadly, sometimes other things are missed out. So I'm just thinking of people that might attend and get that information, go and see the GP. There's genuinely a real, potentially health saving element to this as well, if that makes sense, Bríd. I'm trying to choose my words carefully, but you know where I'm going.
Yes, so I investigate. So I'm getting women in that have come into me with abnormal bleeding, and it's so sad and devastating when we see women who have never gone and accessed cervical screening and they're ending up with cervical cancer, and that should never be the case. Or like you say, women don't know that when you finish your period, by the way, keep a diary of your periods when you're coming after your 40s. We need to know when your last period was, because after a year, particularly in women who are 50, if they have any bleeding or spotting from the vagina after that, that's abnormal. We need to investigate where that bleeding is coming from.
What is the cause?
Put it in, it's normal, but we need to find out.
Yeah, for sure. And also to, obviously there are consequences to aging. There are health consequences with menopause, maybe, bone density or whatever it might be. But that doesn't mean we can't do things in terms of exercise and diet and other changes or enhancements we can make in our lives to best mitigate some of these things.
Yeah, so that's the holistic care. So this is where the concerns, but actually there's a few things that you can do on your own that doesn't require medical management. So, Kira is going to, she's going to tell you about how you can strengthen that pelvic floor to try and reduce the risks of prolapse and stress incontinence and things like that. Let me see, Eddie from DT Fitness, he's going to be the Tums and Bums, so let's get that. Dr. Ravi Garib's talk is really interesting. Metabolic health is having a high BMI, so in excess of 30. the risks for that is that you have got lots of estrogen flying around the body. You're increasing your risk of endometrial cancers in particular. So metabolic health is trying to go back to those natural foods that will impact on things like your diabetic health, your cardiac health, your bone health, because all of that weight then on the bones is causing those. So it is a wider discussion, but it's going to be done hopefully in a very nice and engaging event. So in a way, and I really hope women support it, because my job is to get this message out. I'm seeing too many women that don't know.
Knowledge is power, and it's astonishing once you have a little bit of knowledge how it can help you. And you get to see Lorraine Keenan, maybe get a selfie with her. Who's to say? It depends on her availability on a Saturday morning. She'll be there. It's €25 to enter. It's going to support the event that's taking place on the 31st of January, Minding Little Bridget, and then anything that's left over then will be donated to charity. Okay. You as an organizer and the organising committee are conscious that €25 could be a barrier for some. You've taken that into consideration. You don't want any barriers to women obviously attending, and just explain how maybe they can reach out to talk about that.
Yeah, so like initially when I did, I'm in the job of delivering healthcare. Charging people for healthcare is not what I'm about. But my other Bridgets, Sinead McGowan and Linda O'Donnell, my own daughter Rosie and Tracy and Debbie and Catherine, they said, Bridget, you can't do this. In order for us to be able to support the two, you're going to have to put a charge. So we have lots of tickets available for any person that genuinely wants to come, that can't afford it. You contact me, you contact Sinead or Linda, go into the credit union, go into St. Vincent de Paul. We have tickets. We will do it very privately and confidentially that no one will know. You'll just present your Eventbrite like everybody else on the day, and that will be it. So and people can still get tickets on Eventbrite, but for those that can't afford it, yes, contact me. I am not having any woman saying that she couldn't afford it.
Lovely stuff. Okay, and we'll link the Eventbrite on our website as well. Thanks. Oh, Caroline says you were finishing with the song, Bridgie. No, I'm only joking. Yes, I know. I'm a comedian. Listen, Bridie, thanks so very much for that. Best luck with it.
Genuinely for the time.
Yeah, no,
really
it's critical, and it's fully inclusive. Don't let the €25 be a barrier. Obviously, if you have it, pay it, because you're supporting the other event and also supporting charity, and you don't want anyone out of pocket. But if you can't afford, there's no shame in that game either. It might just be the wrong time of the month to have the money for this. You heard from Bridine there. They'll look after you. No pun intended and all that crack.
Yeah, Greg, the other thing that I might use the money if we have any left over, and at the moment we're just cutting even, but even to have kits for the schools for girls, if they have an accident, that there's a place that they can go that will give them pain relief, that will give them a change of clothing. That's something that I really am going to think about. So I haven't made up my mind yet. So the more people that support the event, the more I will be able to actually do little maybe projects like that to support our younger girls. So
all right.
Thank you.
Keep up the great work. Stay in touch for any future events like this. God bless you. Take care. Bridine Bell there, a member of the organising committee of Minding Bridget. She's also an advanced nurse practitioner at Women's Health in SUH. And that event is taking place on February the 1st. She's also has an event, Minding Little Bridget, which is a couple of days beforehand, but that was by invite. They reached out to schools in the South Donegal area, and they have their attendees for that. Okay. We'll link the Eventbrite on our page and any other information that's relevant for those of you who wish to attend.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Big news, Letterkenny. McCabe's Pharmacy is here, and we're officially Ireland's largest, most patient-focused pharmacy brand with over 110 stores nationwide. Whether you're picking up your prescriptions, stocking up on your winter vitamins, or treating yourself to much-needed self-care essentials, here at McCabe's Pharmacy, we have you covered. Call in to us on Pierce Road, Letterkenny. Download our brand new app or visit mccabespharmacy.com for more information. You're amazing. Let's keep you that way.
Transform your space with McCafferty Tiles Bala Buffet, specialising in large format and designer tiles. We offer expert installation and free design consultation in our showroom or on site. Let us bring your vision to life with bespoke recommendations. Call 086 242 3604 or find us on Facebook and Instagram. McCafferty Tiles Bala Buffet, showroom by appointment.
It's my family, my business. I don't need any help from you people. Keep asking all these questions. Mum and me are fine. I'm gonna leave her alone for 5 minutes. She freaks out. I just don't know how to help her. Note said she's not coming back. I've got no family, no friends. Came over yesterday. Things are kind of normal again thanks to you listening to me every week. I'm feeling better, you know.
Bernardo's changed many children's stories, but we can't without your support. Please donate today at bernardos.ie, because childhood lasts a lifetime.
The Easy Living Furniture biggest sale ever must end this Sunday. Absolutely everything is reduced across all our departments, including sofas, dining, bedroom, mattresses, and home accessories. Shop the furniture you love at the best prices ever at Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park, Derry, Londonderry. Don't miss out. The biggest sale ever ends this Sunday.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
The time's 22 minutes past 11. Now, not to diminish what we have all been going through and many continue to go through, but generators during the storm Eowyn kind of became the banana bread to some extent of the early parts of the lockdowns and what have you. Lots of people renting, leasing, acquiring generators, and a lot of dodgy stuff going on in terms of, you know, hooking them up to houses. So we thought now is a good opportunity to try and get some information out there for you, because something like this will happen again, and many of you probably now have a generator that you never thought you would own. Jordan Long is from Clive Long Electrical, and he joins us on the show now. Jordan, thanks for your time.
Morning, Greg. How are you?
I am doing very, very good. Okay, so what is the difference if you're looking at a generator? This is just one first question. Some generators are marketed KW, KWH, and some are marketed as watts. What is the difference between KW and the wattage? So you might see a 3.8 kW generator, or you might see a 2,300 watt generator. What's the relationship between those figures?
That's to do with apparent power and available power. Just basically, Greg, kVA is more or less a term we would use in the generator world, whereas the ESB would more talk about kilowatts and available power kind of thing, you know.
So it's like RMS and PMPO with speakers, that type of thing.
Yeah.
All right, okay. So what size of a generator might well, actually, okay. A lot of people have got generators, they're taking out the main fuse and plugging it into a 3-pin socket. How bad is that?
That is dangerous now, in fairness. It'd be better to consult your registered electrical contractor and get a proper changeover switch fitted there.
What are the risks in doing that, Jordan?
Well, you're putting the ESB crews in danger by maybe possibly putting voltage back down the line if they were working on the lines and stuff like that.
Right, so that kind of makes it a thing you shouldn't do at all then?
Definitely not. No, it wouldn't be recommended now. And then as well as that, it's also the danger of the people hooking it up, because they're just using a 13 amp plug top and plugging it back into their socket is what we're coming across anyway. And they're also leaving their pins live in their socket where they go to plug it in, like, you know.
And that obviously then, how is the power regulated? I mean, if you had, I've heard of certain items actually fusing out or even going on fire. Would that be a symptom of plugging straight into the 3-pin plug?
That's a possibility, I suppose, yes. But look, there should be also an MCB on your generator. Like, that's the way that it should be protected for overcurrent, like.
Okay. Right, now, the obvious thing is never to use a generator indoors. The exhaust, regardless if it runs on petrol or diesel, is emitting carbon monoxide. Very sadly, we've heard of suspected cases down the country where someone was very, very sadly died. Generators can only be placed outside.
Only placed outside in a well-ventilated area, exhaust pointed away from windows and points of air going into the houses or whatever the situation is. And it also needs to be outside for the some of them smaller generators running air-cooled engines. Like, they're going to overheat if they are in a garage or whatever. Like,
I think a lot of people will be looking at the transfer switch option, even if they don't have a generator, just to future-proof their homes. So talk to me, what is a transfer switch?
Well, the transfer switch, basically, it's disconnecting the ESB from the consumer unit in the house, and it's preventing anything then colliding with the ESB or going back down the ESB lines. Like.
And are they expensive, hard to put in?
Just, it all varies on the ampage that you're going for, Greg, and if you want to go automatic, like, there's systems you can get there now where as soon as ESB feels, she'll start a generator and she'll change over automatically onto the generator, like onto the load.
But I think particularly the transfer switch important to prevent backfeeding. If you remove your main fuse, we're really discouraging people from plugging it straight into the wall. But if you remove the main fuse, can you still backfeed to the grid?
There is a possibility, yes, in some of them smaller generators, because they haven't got a proper neutral. They're basically sending 115 volts down the live and 115 volts down the neutral. So there is a possibility of them, even with the main fuse and the house disconnected, it will still get back down the line, yeah.
If someone installs a transfer switch, they want to get a generator, they're going to have it properly anchored outside, not near any open windows or what have you. What kind of a wattage of a generator would you need to power a normal sized home, providing, say, for instance, you don't use electric showers and kettles, but to have the lights on and maybe one telly on? What wattage of a generator would get you away?
Well, 6 kVA is going to do your standard house with oil-fired central heating. It'll do your lights. It'll still boil your kettle. You'll be able to cook with an oven, stuff like that there. But if you want to start running 6 kVA,
so
yeah.
What, as I say, some of them are listed in wattage. So is there an equivalence? What wattage of a generator would equate to 6 kVA?
That would probably working out roughly, before doing the math, it's probably working out about 5 kilowatt.
Right, okay. So a lot of the ones that are being marketed out there are 2,000, 2,300 watts, 3,000 watts. You're starting getting up into really big money when you go above that. But that's what you would need at least. You'd need at least 6 kW. You said to kVA to run a normal house with oil-fired central heating.
Yeah, and the main thing to remember when you're buying a generator also is to make sure she's got the CE stamp of approval. Yeah. There's a lot of generators marketed out there in Dundee and whatever else, and they have no stamp. You have no comeback with them, no warranty.
Yeah, and they haven't got the seal of the European seal of approval. What is the problem if you were to put an underpowered generator into your transfer switch?
An underpowered, you're going to possibly do harm to electronics in the house. All houses now is going more electronics. Your TVs and stuff. There's a possibility that you'll blow electronic stuff, like.
Yeah, because it draws a TV. A TV draws a certain amount of power. A dishwasher draws a certain amount of power, and all of that chips into the power available in your generator. And if you continue to have your TV on or another item on that's not getting the power it's been designed for, that could cause issues.
Yeah.
All right. Grounding. You mentioned grounding. Some of these generators aren't grounding. What does that mean?
Grounded to earth, basically, Greg, is given if a fault happened in a fault situation, you have a path to earth. What's the current out of the generator? You know.
And some people might have a generator. It's not terribly powerful, so they bring an extension cable into the house to run a couple of things off it. Is there any danger with that, or anything we should be looking out for?
Not if you're just running everything individually off it. Like if you have a proper trail lead or whatever they have set up in the house there, and they just want to plug the individual items into it, that should be safe enough, like, you know, as long as there are no live conductors or whatever else.
All right. Now, in terms of, say, for instance, it's a petrol generator. You used it this weekend, or you got one this weekend, and it's in storage. Then, how long, or what do you need to be careful of for when you take it back out again, that the fuel could go off, for an example?
Well, definitely the petrol ones, you're going to have the petrol going dead on them. Spark plugs, like stuff like that there, could get dirty. Oil change, probably important there too, and the smaller ones, if people's going buying them, you know.
Yeah. Anything else that I've missed out on, Jordan, that you think's important to get out there in relation to it?
No, just look, if people's getting a changeover switch installed, make sure to give a registered electrical contractor a shout on it there, and I'm sure if there are any queries hooking it up, any electrical contractor in Donegal will be more than happy to answer the phone to them there if it was going to prevent injury or death. Like, you know, they're going to talk you through it, hook them up.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like some of these little generators, they look cute, don't they? And they're all self-contained and what have you, but they pump out, you know, serious wattage, which could have a serious impact on people's health or indeed their properties.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's a thing. Electricity is just one of those things I don't like playing with. So good to get that info out. Jordan Long from Clive Long Electrical. Thanks so much, Jordan. I appreciate it.
Cheers, Greg. Thank you.
All right, take care. That's advice on using generators. I think I covered most of the issues there. Just to highlight the importance of using a generator or anything that burns fuel indoors. Jason McKay, a father of 5 from outside Portrush, he died on Sunday. He died from suspected carbon monoxide poisoning at his home amid warnings from health officials over the dangers of using portable generators following power outages. He's believed to have died after inhaling fumes from a portable generator. May he rest in peace. Such a terrible loss of life. A father of 5, just 35 years of age, and probably just doing his best to try and get lights and maybe heat into the home. We wish his family and friends, we don't wish, we offer our condolences to them. A dearly loved husband to Serena and father of 5 children. And it's just a case of trying to prevent any further tragedies like that. Okay, we have to take a short break. We will be back with more. In fact, Chris Ashmore will be joining us with business news after these messages.
The 9 till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
2025 is here, and at Radisson Hotel and Spa Sligo, we're celebrating the new year in style. Book direct and save a minimum of 20% on bed and breakfast rates for a limited time only. Explore Ireland's Wild Atlantic Way and all that Sligo has to offer with stay dates available throughout 2025. Book direct and save today at radsligo.com.
Are you thinking of a new car in January? At iMotors, we have certain Kia models available for immediate delivery. Diesel, petrol, hybrid are all still available. Come check out imotors.ie.
iMotors, fearless generation. A public interest message from Donegal County Council. While air quality in Donegal is generally very good, EPA air quality monitoring stations show that fine particulate matter, mainly from burning solid fuels, continues to present a threat to good air quality in some areas and may impact on those with underlying respiratory conditions. Donegal County Council is actively monitoring the quality of solid fuels, particularly coal-based products and firewood, for sale across the county to ensure they meet the current regulations. You can help over the winter burning season by only buying and using compliant fuels and not burning waste such as plastics, which can be recycled. Donegal County Council, protecting your environment.
Change is the only constant in business. So whether you're starting or growing your business, our dedicated business teams will always be here to support you every step of the way, because the best businesses never stop beginning. Search Bank of Ireland Business. Bank of Ireland. Begin. Bank of Ireland is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Business Matters on Highland Radio is brought to you by Local Enterprise Office Donegal. If you have an idea to start or grow your business within Donegal, contact the Local Enterprise Office to find out more about the supports available for businesses. See localenterprise.ie/Donegal.
Chris Ashmore, presenter of Highland Radio's Business Matters podcast, is in studio with me. Hi, Chris.
Good morning, Greg.
We were just reflecting on this upcoming public holiday on Monday, St. Bridget's Day. Well, that's why it was established. And it's a funny time of the year, isn't it? It's kind of, the weather's not fantastic. You pointed out that maybe people are short of cash.
Yeah.
It's only us, so there's no football to watch or anything. I mean, is it? It's a bit of a damp squid, is it?
Well, often bank holiday weekends, a
holidays.
lot of people are on the road and going away, and probably because of the time of the year, It's probably the quietest bank holiday weekend,
so.
isn't it?
I wonder
and it's
if
sort of
anyone-
caught up with us. It's suddenly here. And
Well, hey, listen. Let's see. Have you planned anything specific for this bank holiday, public holiday weekend? Are you heading away? You heading down the country or across the county? Let us know. 086 60 25,000. I think, for those of us who work and are off that day, for others, it's going to be a busy day who work in hospitality or what have you. It's just another day. But just wondering if anyone's making anything of this St. Bridget's weekend. Right, okay. 086 60 25,000. If you want to get, let me know. Make me jelly. I love hearing people doing nice things. Someone sent a picture actually when we were in the midst of the storm of them lying on a beach somewhere with their feet, and I think they were trying to wind me up. But I was like, you know what? Fair play to you. Enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Right, let's get to some news. Irish Film Industry Report. So this is kind of one of those ones that's really quite significant and contributes quite a lot, and not least here in Donegal, but it's not on everyone's radar.
No, it's not. And Screen Ireland has just brought out a report, and as you say, this is big business now. And in 2024, the Irish screen industry, now look, that includes film, TV, drama, animation, documentaries, so it's quite a broad school of things, but it's now valued at over 430 million euros, so not insubstantial, and that was 33% up on the previous year. So here in Donegal, as you've mentioned, places are getting established, and we have the infrastructure and the support and the crews. So
and there really is a push on to try and create a hub here in Donegal. I mean, we have unfortunately exported some brilliant people that work in TV, film and drama, and they'd love to be working at home. And, we spoke last year about efforts to sort of create an industry whereby you can be based here and be busy and work and contribute. And the rising tide lifting all boats. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Another little industry for us here, quite significant actually. And of course, there's arms of the council that work flat out in trying to attract stuff here, but they cannot tell us, because if they're successful, they have to sit in it until such time as filming starts. It must be an absolute pain in the backside.
Yes, indeed.
You can have Mel Gibson and Brad Pitt and Sharon Stone all landing to record a film in 2 years, and you can't say anything.
No, and then suddenly they arrive, and everybody's out with the phone to get
exactly.
a shot. Yeah.
All right. Houses being planned.
Well, all over the county now, we're seeing an increase in applications.
There does seem to be activity, because not only, Chris, with the applications that you've been flagging for us and the approvals, but there does seem to be, blocks being laid.
Yeah, I mean, if you go out now around the county, you can see in quite a lot of towns and villages there is house building, an apartment building going on. An application just in with Donegal County Council for 38 new units at Kilderry Lane in Muff. It's a mixture of apartments, duplexes and semi-detached houses there. So, that's at the planning stage, so it'll be a while yet. But in a not unrelated matter, new figures out today, Greg, from Home Building Finance Ireland. Now, this is the state entity. It actually lends the money to house builders to build homes, and at the end of December the grant approvals were up 61% on the previous year. So again, it suggests that we have got a real uplift taking place. And
it's hard to know, because obviously we had a very high number of commencements last year, but that's put down to some extent by incentives for developers, and for them to claim those incentives, they had to have commencements. But that was not necessarily reflected in the units of housing delivered, which was well short of the government's expectations. But hopefully it rolls into this year and next. And those the commitments actually do start to actually realise accommodation. Buy Donegal campaign. These campaigns are pretty successful, I think.
Well, that is certainly the case. Another record year. People may recall this before Christmas Buy Donegal 2024 campaign online. Now, when you take everything into account, Greg, and all the different ways that you can record the figures between Twitter and Facebook and TikTok and everything, global audience was over 50 million, taking in the whole scale of things. So it is substantial. It helps products, companies in Donegal. Over 400 took part. ranging from, handcrafted goods to hospitality services, and it all helps with branding, it helps with the profile of Donegal, so a win-win for everyone.
Right, let's move on to this week's podcast. Now, you've got two guests, and the local enterprise office features as well.
I thought it was timely. Start of a new year, we've had the disruption between snow and ice and electricity cuts and everything.
But it feels like the year hasn't started yet.
Exactly.
Especially for people at work or school. A lot of people
sort of
couldn't travel to work, or the work was closed because of the power out, or childcare wasn't there, or schools, I don't know if they've done a full week yet. So it's been a disjointed old Jan.
It has, certainly has. Now, the local enterprise office here in Donegal, they offer a wide range of supports, and there's mentoring, there's financial assistance, all sorts of grants that you can apply for. So look, the message is, if you have an idea about something you would be interested in developing from a business side of things, or indeed if you're already in business and for example, there's grants for sustainable energy-related projects. It's a good time to have a look to see what's on offer in the coming months. And I've been speaking with Brenda Hegarty, Head of Enterprise at the local enterprise office, Donegal.
Increasingly, the government are giving additional supports through the local enterprise office, the first stop shop for anybody starting or growing a small business in Donegal. So we offer a wide range of training, mentoring, financial assistance. So whether you're starting maybe a business or growing a business, we have a wide range of supports. So some of those supports would be startup financial assistance for manufacturing or internationally trading businesses, or indeed if they're in that sector and wish to grow and scale, then we have capital and employment supports. We also have mentoring supports, which is very popular, and over 400 of those supports last year, where any business in any sector, even one-person business, right up to 50 employees, if they have a particular business challenge, then we can assign an expert mentor, and that's a very popular support. We have now a big drive on for decarbonisation, the whole green agenda, so we have a wide range of green supports.
And Chris, the one thing I think with the Leo office is if that, you're in business or planning business or thinking about business, or if you have a business idea, it's actually to ring them up and chat to them, not triage yourself, so to speak, just ring them up, because they're the ones that know, and they'll signpost you very quickly who can help you, or if exactly. They can assist you, because it's so wide ranging.
It is, and no harm in going in, making an appointment, going and speaking with an advisor, having a little chat. And it's not only a case of finding out what might apply to you, but it's also a case of finding out, what you can't apply for as well. And they do offer these, they're called the business support clinics. They're held regularly, and it gives a great overview of what's on, available here. So it's a great resource, and they have helped a ton of funding streams.
Yeah. It's about tapping into them. Okay, so you can listen to the full interview with Brenda Hegarty, Head of Enterprise at Leo Donegal, on the podcast. Now, did you know there are 85 travel counsellors in Ireland and 4 in Donegal? I didn't know I don't know what a travel counsellor is. I didn't even know they existed, Chris.
Yes. Now, on the programme a few weeks ago, I spoke with Emma McHugh of Atlantic Travel, and looking very much at the leisure and holiday and personal side of the travel business. But travel counsellors, they're all over the world. It was a company set up, and it's essentially travel experts who deal with you on a one-to-one basis, and in particular on the corporate side of things. If you have a business, be it a small business or a very large business, Greg, that going online, looking at flights, comparing them, hotels, it can be pretty time-consuming.
So matching your travel with your diary.
So if you get a travel counsellor, have a chat, say what you need. And some of the bigger companies could use them for quite a lot of work.
Right, so hypothetically, I'd say I'd ring my travel counsellor and say, look, I have a 2 p.m. appointment in Brussels on the 4th of February.
sort me out.
Well,
arrange it all.
They
And,
just send back the itinerary to me.
And they will also, because they deal with the airlines, now if you're flying business class, Greg, which I know you always do like to go, especially on long distance flights, there can be
If God wanted me to fly, he would have given me wings, Chris.
There's a huge disparity in prices from the very top end business packages, so they can help here with the company. And so I've been speaking with Kieran McConnell, who's corporate business manager with Travel Counsellors here in Ireland, and she's been telling us a little bit more.
A lot of companies are recognising and focusing on their employees' well-being, and travel is a big part of that. You know, if there is an employee's in a company that has to travel quite a bit, they're away from home. The company wants to look after that person, make sure they're happy when they're travelling, because we know they're a lot more productive as well when they're happy. So that's what we do within Travel Counsellor Business. You know, any companies that come on board with us, we have in-depth conversations and get a feel of the company, what they want, get insight into the industry they're in. It could be that, you know, meetings could change. So all that type of information is so crucial when it comes to managing their travel. And within Travel Counsellor Business, we just want to get it right for that company. We want to support them from booking all the way through to travel, supporting them. As we know, there can be disruptions in travel. We'll never be able to eliminate that completely, but what we can do is be there throughout from start to finish.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's a world I've never been in and probably likely will never be in, but still interesting to hear and learn about, and relevant to quite a lot of people out there.
Yeah, indeed, and there's a new term in the industry called bleisure, which is bleisure travel. It's a mixture of business and leisure travel. So, for example, back to yourself, Greg, if you were heading off to Perth for an international conference on beaches and you were going for a week, your company says, well, look, Greg, we're sending you out there for a week, but you know what? Why don't you take 2 or 3 days leave and make a little bit of a holiday as well?
I can literally just hear Fionnuala Rabbit saying that to me.
Yeah, well, I look forward to getting the postcard. You're a great man for still snail mail with you. Eh?
Can you imagine? Fionnuala, we're sending you over, and you know what, Greg? Take a bit of time for yourself.
Look, you're going on the flight anyway, so you might as well.
Oh, I can literally imagine it happening.
Pleasure, you've heard it.
First, and I'd say listening to you saying it's the closest I'll ever get to a pleasure event. But hey, listen, it's good to have this information. Maybe there's people listening that have been on a pleasure holiday. Sure. Let us know. Right, Chris, now, 2 interesting interviews, Brenda and Ciara, available in their entirety today on our podcast. It's available on our website, of course, in the listen back section. It's always there, but also it will feature for a time on the front page. And then it's broadcast this weekend, Chris.
That's right, after the 6 o'clock news on Sunday.
And always you like to hear from people. The best way to contact you is?
The email address is businessmatters@highlandradio.com.
Okay, until we meet again next Wednesday, certainly from a business perspective. Chris, thanks so much for calling up.
Thank you.
The 9 till Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Expecting a baby? Then a visit to Cool Kids Sligo January sale is a must, with up to 25% off selected pushchairs, car seats, nursery furniture and high chairs. Get expert advice on all things baby at Cool Kids Sligo, with deposits accepted and free nationwide delivery. Shop online at babyaccessories.ie.
The new Kuga plug-in hybrid. It's more than just the sum of its parts. With more tech plus all the latest spec. A massive boot space plus loads of room for the kids in the back. And exceptional comfort plus a bold new look. It all adds up to a powerful formula. It's everything you'd expect from the Kuga, plus the unexpected. The new Kuga plug-in hybrid. Now available with up to €5,500 off new vehicles for 251. Search new Ford Kuga or find out more at Ford.ie. Ford, bring on tomorrow.
Sometimes it's just bad luck, but sometimes it's negligence. From minor bumps to life-changing injury, every accident has a story. Time to call McElhenney and Associates. They'll assess the situation, advise on solutions, and lead the way if any litigation is to follow. From motor accidents and workplace accidents to slips, trips and falls, call today on 074 917 5989 or find us online. Let's get you started on the road to recovery. McElhenney and Associates Solicitors, Stranorlar. How can we help? In contentious business, a solicitor may not calculate fees or other charges as a percentage or proportion of any award or settlement.
We love better value at Dunnes Stores. Treat yourself this bank holiday with a can of your favourite Pringles, now half price. And stock up with refreshing Coke Zero and Diet Coke 18 can packs, now only €10. Plus, save at the till with a 5 off 25 grocery voucher. Dunnes Stores. Always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next in-store grocery shop of €25 or more. Prices subject to deposit return scheme fees.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Join us on March 8th for our special occasion preview with the sparkling afternoon tea in Harvey's Point. Tickets go on sale Friday 31st of January at 7 p.m. Available from mcelhenneys.com.
So largely dry, just isolated showers, a mix of cloud and sunny spells, scattered outbreaks. Scattered showers will develop during the evening. Highest temperatures of 6 to 9 degrees with light to moderate northerly winds. And glancing out the window here at Highland Radio at the mountaintop in Letterkenny, it looks like a really pleasant day. Now, you may have heard yesterday a young man viciously assaulted by a group of others in Letterkenny in broad daylight yesterday afternoon. He was injured following the serious assault in Letterkenny. 4 other youths, as have been described, stood upon this person at Lower Main Street in Letterkenny. He received a number of blows and kicks from the gang, and this happened just before 4 p.m. Yesterday. The Mayor of Letterkenny, Jerry McMonagle, joins us on the programme now. And Jerry, I mean, obviously we wish the young person a full and speedy recovery. We don't want to amplify stuff either, or to create an unnecessary or an inaccurate sort of reflection of Letterkenny as a place. But it's not the first daylight kind of incident we've seen like this, and people will naturally be concerned, Jerry.
Yeah, you're perfectly correct there, Greg, and I hope that the young lad does make a full recovery, but this is totally unacceptable, and unfortunately it's becoming a regular occurrence. And Lower Main Street seems to be an area where a lot of this happens, but it's not exclusively to Lower Main Street area. In recent times, we've been discussing and talking about the antisocial behaviour at the Courtyard Shopping Centre and other parts of the main street. So it's something we need to get a grip of, something we need to get on top of. And just in relation to yesterday's incident, I would ask anybody who, and there was many people who would have witnessed this, that they get in contact with the Gardaí and they give them whatever information they have, because we need to put a stop to this type of behaviour.
And maybe they're afraid of feeling the wrath of people like this. The Garda confidential line's always there. But Jerry, I don't think I am wrong in saying this. It's incredibly likely that this incident would not have happened yesterday if there had been a uniformed Garda patrolling in that area. And you wouldn't need 10 of them. Any Garda presence at all, or even previous instances that we've seen, would be a deterrent to these types of activities. I could be wrong. Maybe these people are so bold in their behaviour that they might not care. But my gut tells me if there was more of a Garda presence on the streets of Letterkenny, which is, the main population hub in this region and hosts the headquarters, the regional headquarters, instances like this wouldn't happen, and people would feel safer walking on the streets of Letterkenny.
Look, Greg, you're 100% correct again. I mean, for years we've been raising this as through the Joint Policing Committee, which I was chair of for a number of years. We've met with commissioners, with the area assistant commissioners, and we've talked regularly about the shortage of Gardaí, and particularly in this town and the size of it, and its importance to the rest of the county. And look, a lot of it has been falling on deaf ears. There's no doubt in my mind, had we more Gardaí on the beat, if there's a bigger presence, that this type of behaviour would not be happening. We can have all the CCTV we have, and I know in that particular area it is covered by CCTV, so hopefully the Gardaí will get more information from that.
But that's
and follow up
reactive,
with
isn't it, Jerry? And fair play if the caller who's responsible or those responsible, that's fine. But that's reactive. There's still a young person who's been kicked and beaten on the street, so we have to be proactive. It shouldn't be too tough a nut to crack, especially considering, you know, maybe there are community policing available. I don't know that. You know, I've walked down Letterkenny Main Street and you step out and you feel like you have to step out into the road because there's groups of individuals that are blocking the space. I've spoken to women that if they see a group of lads, they find it quite intimidating. It's just a couple of guards up and down that street in the day would be enough, I think, to alleviate an awful lot of these concerns. Plus, it builds relationships between the force and the community.
Yeah, and I've been saying that for years. Unfortunately, Greg, we don't have the couple of guards to free up. There's such a shortage of Gardaí, and it's been going on for years and years. Just the recent appointments, we have maybe got 3 out of all that the Gardaí that come through Templemore in the last 2 years. So, you know, we're catch up all the time, but the way to stop this is to put more Gardaí on the street, put more Gardaí on the beat. If we can, get them out of cars. Community Gardaí were the way to go about. There was a time in this town, not so long ago, we had a sergeant and 6 community Garda. I'd say we have a sergeant and a community Garda now, and if we're lucky, we have 2 Gardaí to support them. And that's not good enough. We're currently down a superintendent here in the county, and Letterkenny, and that's something we've been lobbying for quite a while now. And as I say, there's an increase in this type of assault. There's an increase too, and more worryingly, in relation to attacks on women, both sexually and violently, and that needs to be addressed.
And inappropriate behaviour. It doesn't always result in physical harm, but inappropriate behaviour as well.
We're sitting here now in a vacuum where the joint policing committees are down, and the community safety partnerships have not been ignited yet and been put in place.
Exactly.
We're waiting for legislation and waiting for the minister to sign off on it. So look, there's things that can be done, but in the short term, yes, more Gardaí on the street. I think more visible Gardaí. That would help.
Councillor McMonagle, sorry for rushing you along there. We invited you on late. It's not your fault. Thanks for your time. That's the Mayor of Letterkenny Municipal District. Thank you, Jerry McMonagle.